That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. Now what do we do? That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. That's the first clue. We gotta find. That's the first clue. That's the first clue.
Yo, what is going on, everybody? How y'all doing today? I'll have to check that out, Delta. Halls of Torment. Halls of Torment. It may have gotten sent to me once already. But we'll have to take a look. How's everybody doing today out there? Excuse me. Tell me how the volume is. I'm trying something a little different with my mic. So if it's too quiet or anything like that, just let me know. But it's always interesting on X. I like getting into trouble on there. Good. Appreciate it. So far, we'll see what happens. I've had my mic go funky on me, but that's what happens when you're an old man like me. Did I just delete everything? No, I didn't. There it is. So, normal stuff going on. Smash JT being Smash JT. People have been going at him pretty hard, and he started coping about that. That video going around of his takes for The Last of Us 2. Mostly using the old routine. How many people I got watching right now? We are sitting at, I believe, 3. Yep, 2 on the YouTubes and you in Twitch. So thank you guys for joining. It looks like it already has 5 views. That's crazy. If you haven't liked it, I know you don't like over there on Twitch, but if you haven't liked it on YouTube, go ahead and give me a like, just so just because it helps me out. I wanted to talk about a few things today. Obviously, the stream name is I will go to your YouTube. Come on down, Delta. Come on down to the YouTube. That's my primary. I just got back on to Twitch just to multi-stream. I'm still up in the air. Like, I talked to Damage Sector about it, and I'm still up in the air about maybe just using Twitch as like a gaming stream, separate my gaming and my my commentary, we'll say commentary. but we'll see. I like playing while I do commentary. That usually ends up being my favorite place to be. Hey, what's going on, Delta? Welcome to YouTube. If you haven't already, you can go ahead and give me a little sub there too. We are on our way. I'll go ahead and shill right off the bat. Right off the bat, we're going to go ahead and shill. I'm on the way to try and get to 500. I'm at 103 right now, which is amazing to me. I didn't even think I'd have 100 people that were going to even watch me do anything. Oh well, don't push your luck now. Fair enough. Fair enough. But we're on our road to 500. See if we can get there. Our next goal is 200 that I'm trying to make it to. So there's my shill for the day. Let's look at something I wanted to look at today before we get started. Kind of a little forward piece of content. I may go over some of the Smash stuff, but I've already talked about Smash yesterday, so I don't want to make my whole weekend about them. We're definitely going to look into this video that FPS Deiseal did on his other channel, the where he does, what is it called? It's called Mana Potions and Tabletop, where he does his tabletop stuff. And I love tabletop. I just started a D&D campaign again, going through the Crooked Moon with friends. So I want to see more of this AI tabletop stuff while we play. I may also play a little Arc Raiders while I'm watching some of these videos. We'll see how well that goes, though. Being the kind of game that it is, it'll probably mostly be small stuff, me trying to earn gears. But people were kind of going crazy about this. Sydney Sweeney refuses to disavow joking about white people genetic superiority in relations to the great genes ad. Now, if you want to know that what my take on that was, is I don't care. It was funny. I don't think it was some white supremacist white power thing, right? A lot of people freaked out about it. A lot of people fought back and forth on the right and the left as per usual. But let's see what was said in this interview.
Content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
So here's my thing with that. I don't think it was like, it wasn't. I'm just going to flat out say it wasn't about white superiority. It was about, it was about genetics. Sure, you can say that, but it was. It's not going to show the whole clip. We're already 19 minutes in. I should have checked it. It was, she's hot. She's wearing jeans. Yeah, her face is cringe here. Oh, you're talking about this shit? Yeah, it's pretty cringe. Like it was about her being hot and saying that she had great genes while using the words jeans. Like if it would have been a black girl, no one would have said anything else. Yeah, it was never about that white superiority. It was obvious a pun on her looks. And welcome, K-Med. Welcome back. So
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
The criticism of the
okay, that's pretty cold-blooded and good. Like, yeah, she's like, I don't even care about this issue. It's not important, which is true. It really wasn't important. And went from there. What? So other things on Facebook that we can take a look at. Yeah, this was such like a non-issue on both sides. People crying over it. Like who cared? It was kind of funny, right? She's hot. She's wearing jeans. Blah 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 blah. I should have brought up some more of the. We'll do a little smash tent here. Hold on. Let me pull it up because Smash has been going on today. Oh God, Mark came up on my feed. Mark is a whole nother character. I'm gonna cut up a VOD I did of Mark. Because he's something else. He is something else. Gonna back that up a little bit so I can see what I'm doing here. If you haven't been watching, actually, you know what I do want to read? You know what I do want to read if I can find it? Yes. Yeah, so we want to read this guy's post. Dr. Pikachu. Dr. Pikachu. I don't know who he is. I'm assuming he's just some shitter that, goes on there. But he made the glaziest little post about Smash. Dr. Pikachu. I was not going to pull him up because he has me blocked. I don't know if this guy blocked me before, but it really seems like he pre-blocked me before we went into this situation. Where was it? I heard she wasn't invited this year. Oh. But would you bang her? Sydney Sweeney? If I was single, 100%. The other chick probably too, though. I don't have standards. I have a weight limit. Outside of my wife, who is gorgeous. Grums. See, now I'm searching around. Smash got invited to the Game Awards, apparently. Cool. I'm proud of him. J Viper. Here we go. Here is this crazy cope cast we got going on here. Bring this boy up. So this has been circling around against Smash JT haters, and the Smash JT is nothing more than a grifter. No, I don't necessarily think that. Like I've been saying since the beginning, I get closer to every woman is beautiful if you have no standards. That's right. Don't tell that to my wife, though. So this clip, if you haven't seen it, was going around basically showing Smash JT. I watched it on my last stream. Showing Smash JT, like talking really positive about the anti-woke, and then they go into this year's flops. Was this a flop? Like, this is just retardation. Dustborn, no one cared about. Sure, you can say Concord. I don't even know what the fuck Echo is. Doctor Who went a fucking bad direction after my favorite Doctor, but I don't remember his name now. He's been in a couple other movies since then. Flintlock, was this woke? Borderlands movie was terrible. Suicide Squad was a live action, so that's why it failed. There's no reason that they should have been making a live action. Outlaws, yeah, underperformed. It was a buggy fucking mess. Zau, I don't know. I'd have to look into that one. Dragon Age, the Veilguard, yeah, this is the one you can definitely point to as being woke like slop to me. And Awakening, I never even saw anything about that. So hold on. Outlaws was last year, wasn't it? Oh no, that was from 2024. Got it. Like they only put this one to beef up their numbers in it. Hey, what's going on, Grizzle? So anyway, I guess Nicola, I don't know who Nicola really is even. Interesting. So his behavior today is all a farce to pander to a bunch of garbage human beings, fraudulent piece of shit worthy of no pity. There's agreement there, right? You can take a look at Smash's past, and over and over and over again, you can see where he's changed his mind to make the positive narrative. So this guy is about to like cope real hard, guys. So this has been circling around against Smash JT haters, and the Smash JT is nothing more than a grifter. I don't even like Nicola, but Smash is being bringing us together. right. The Dr. Pika, he blocked me, and I don't even know who the fuck he is. Like, maybe we've talked, but I just don't remember. First off, we are not trying to grift through life for relevance. So he's feeling about a way about Smash. I can agree that we may not be. I think there's quite a few anti-wokers that do believe in what they're saying. I would put it to the most of them. I responded to him, but he wouldn't read it through the T. Probably true. Alyssa's the face of woke. What? Yeah. Oh, it gets interesting. If he was an actual grifter with no integrity, he would use websites from Pakistani news journals that use terrible information to try and paint a narrative that the anti-woke will call liars one moment, and Demion called them liars one moment, and the next said that they were like the bastion of truth for the failure of Ghosts of Yotai. He would not be sued by the faces of the progressive woke. So the suing has nothing to do with his politics, right? Alyssa, or if he was unprincipled or truly weak. So hold on. What this dude is saying is, if he had no integrity, he would not be sued by the face of progressive woke and socialism. So the progressive sue you, that means that you're in the right. Got it. I'm not a big progressive guy. I think I was staunchly against the vast majority of stuff that came out during that time, right? The Anita Sarkeesian areas. I used to laugh with my friends and mock, Kotaku and what was the other one? Polygon and all of those guys who were making it. Yeah, because he was a what do we see here? I don't know. I feel like a lot of issues in these people do not like there being a new layer of critics who treat them the same as they treat the layer above them. Yeah, well, I think a lot of the hardline guys, those of us who don't back down and will go at them and show evidence of what they are, they can't deal with that. They can't fight back against it, so they have to call us other things. They have to say that we're part of the progressive woke socialists because we think Alyssa Mercante's case might have some merit to it by looking over the case, something none of these guys have done. Nick Caller, he's just name dropping here. Cholera attempting to strangle him financially would have been a success to shut him down. When did he try and strangle him financially? I know there was something. Nick, I have some problems with the things that he says. Ankle biters, that's a good one they like to call me. Hell, they flat out called me a grifter, and it's funny. Attempted to strangle him financially. It would have been a success to shut him down. And it's just these people are attacking me, so he must be in the right. I'm not going to look at any of his evidence. He says the words I like to hear, and that's all there is to it. In short, Smash JT would have folded, but he didn't. Why would he have folded? He has a 300,000 sub YouTube channel. Yes, people like to use rage to make money. That's the entire point. They're trying to silence him. Yeah, right. Smash JT would have folded, but he didn't because woke has caused so much damage to the gaming industry. I'm going over this over and over and over again. The further back I look, I know where all these games destroyed the gaming industry, and it was live service that destroyed it. It was EA CEOs saying things like single player games or gamers don't want to play single player games anymore. Everything's going to be live service. It's BioWare making Anthem. It's Ubisoft trying to put microtransactions, live service stuff into single player games. It's so many things that have been problems with the industry for years that woke couldn't even put into everything, right? They tried to go, no one wants to talk about the NFT game that they silently pushed out. A gaming industry that he clearly loves and cares about. That's arguable. Funny thing when we talk about stuff, you know how we've said Smash JT doesn't play games, and on stream we went over his Steam page and how empty and dead it is except for like 2 games he's played on stream, 3 games he's played on stream. Yeah, he privated his Steam page. So now you can't go in and look at it. Yeah, he has privated it. So much for the transparency that Smash JT talks about that he is. Yes, he privated it. I went back the other day to look at it, and you can't look at it anymore. It only shows recent games. I think mine is private because I made it private back before I started doing this. I should open it up, and I probably will. Smash JT would have folded. The gaming industry he clearly loves and cares about. If he cared, he would actually be giving options, putting stuff into the games. But all he does is talk about the same stuff. That's really fucking gay. I had no idea you could even private it. Yeah, you can. You can. Mine may not be private then. I don't know. You need to add me? Yeah, add me. Hit me up. It's Wargaming Dad. I've changed it over since I do most of my gaming from my Steam page. I have a ton of games and almost none of them I've completed. The whole reason I started my bucket list thing in the beginning of my little trump into this. Even if there was no Smash JT, other voices influencers would have stepped up. So possibly better influencers that actually gave information, but people don't want the facts of it. They want the rage bait. They want to hear the words. They want to hear woke is killing their games. They want to hear the LGBTQ is killing games. They want to hear that stuff. They don't want to hear the facts. They don't want to hear what actually is the problem. If woke and the push for diversity, equity, inclusion, that's been happening since what, the 50s? When did 40s or 50s? I don't know. I'm terrible at that. So, I mean, this has been around forever. This isn't a new subject. NAACP and all of that stuff, and was truly the real deal and offered something truly positive to humanity, then why did these games marketed to be a breakout success for 2024? Were any of these marketed to be a breakout success? What did he have on here? Outlaws wasn't marketed to be like, I don't think they said shit about that because it was such a fucking buggy mess. The whole internet blew it up. Borderlands was definitely, the movie was never told as being no, it didn't hard flop. I agree. That's the problem is they say it hard flops, but they weren't saying that it was, they weren't using the same language and saying that it was the success that they said Assassin's Creed was, right? Ubisoft said it would make its money within the year. Yeah, that could make sense. I could see that. Acolyte was a whole fucking mess. That's not what I wanted from Acolyte. And there was some funny business in the movie industry, but I don't really watch movies and TV shows hardly anymore. Cue to Grizzle trying to get me to watch a game. Zao is just them saying it. Like, I would have to look deeper into that. Dragon Age the Veilguard, sure. This is the one that you can say. Doctor Who, yeah, people stopped watching Doctor Who. Even the old man, whoever, Andor. Even the old man, I stopped watching once that guy came on. Like, I was no longer interested in Doctor Who. Suicide Squad, Flintlock was just a failure because I don't think anyone wanted to play it. Suicide Squad was a live service from that nobody wanted from God, what's the company? God, I can't remember. One day my brain will work right. Rocksteady, that's what it is. Thank you, K-Med from Rocksteady. No one wanted Suicide Squad. They wanted another single player masterpiece. It could have been something different than Batman. They make a ton of Batman games. Would have fit 360 era better. Yeah, you think so? It was just one that never hit my radar. So it was like, who cares? So it's like, all right, you can call this game woke It was an indie game. It's not AAA, so it's not proof that your game is bad. This was not a woke game. It was a buggy fucking mess, and at best, Flappy JT was a failure. I know, bud. I know. It's okay. I need to bring it back up and play it, but I need you to send me the new version because I think I forgot to download it. Maybe play it once on stream. Flintlock had nothing to do with woke. Zao was their own thing to say it was woke. Dragon Age was woke. Awakening, I don't even know what the fuck that is because I didn't pay attention to it. Concord, while there was woke elements in it, everyone knows Zao was a total success for that guy's studio. I remember seeing stuff about that. It wasn't something I paid a lot of attention to when it came out. I did see a lot of the drama around the spear comment, we'll say. But other than that, it was a game that I wanted to play. It would have been my first playing the woke or finding the woke video game. So yeah, we've got one game here. You can say Concord is woke because of the writing and stuff like that in it. But that's also not why that game failed. People don't want to read the facts. They just want to say there's woke stuff in it. That's what made it failed because there's woke stuff in it. No one would have bought this game if there wasn't woke stuff in it. You're not going to pay $40 in a free-to-play market for bland Guardians of the Galaxy characters. So this is what they do. They just post a bunch of stuff together that Smash and the others have shown them to be woke. They truly the real deal, something like that. The game's a marketed breakout success. Failed miserably, but here's that. You've only been told they fail miserably. And we're collectively rejected by the greater community that Yorch Torch Games kindly created with this meme below. Yorch Torch, 1 minute he says one thing about a game, and the next minute he says another thing. Yorch is flakier than Smash has ever been. More than half of the games just sucked or were something that no one wanted. Agreed. Yeah, absolutely. Which every year that happens. There are piles and piles and piles of dead video games, empty video games every single year. They just try and find the few. And if you look at this, we're talking about video games, but he's got to throw movies in here too. Just to throw it out there. If the worst of us are garbage, why do the gaming industry need us to keep their companies floating? They don't need y'all to keep them floating. If you're saying gamers, then sure, companies need gamers to keep them running, but that's because they're making corporate slop that nobody wants to play right now. So if the worst of us were garbage is a dumb comment. Why did the gaming industry need us to keep them floating? Like Smash JT isn't keeping the game industry floating. No, in no way or shape. He's not going in and saying things like, you should try this indie game because it's better for whatever reason and things like that. He may do it every now and again for about a week. And then when everyone forgets, he moves on to the next thing. We're about to see Trump reference down here because it's always got to be about Trump. If the worst of us are garbage, the gaming industry needs us to keep it afloat. We already said that. Would Nicola care to explain Ubisoft and the massive layoffs? I've already gone over this on stream. What's going on, Red Stain? Everyone is always looking to be on the moral high and trying to preserve culture. That's right. Everyone but me. I'll get down in the mud. So we've already talked about this. Ubisoft is the example they like to use because Ubisoft has been a failing company forever. They've made some of the poorest decisions in the gaming industry. One way I heard Ubisoft being talked about was they are a AA gaming company that spends AAA money and produces AA games. So, I mean, if you look at their past, that's exactly what they do. You think he means Square? Oh, he is talking about Square in those. And I mean, with that, uh, let's see. I haven't read about the Square ones, so I'd have to really read into that to see what's going on. But companies have been dropping these people left and right. Like I've said, the gaming industry has been bloated for a while. Blockchain projects were such a waste of time. 100% waste of money, waste of time. The thing is these corporate guys are the ones who are making these decisions, not the little woke artist in the corner. They may trust some of them for making games because the progressive left was really loud on the internet around 2020 and even before that during the the beginnings of the Trump administration. So they may have thought this is what gamers wanted because of the loud internet. The corporations are really bad about reading the internet and actually understanding. Would nuclear be the massive layoffs, and that does not involve Donald Trump. Yeah, I agree. None of the gaming industry things have to do with Donald Trump. I don't even know why you brought that up as the reason why. I gave you different reasons. So money talks, always has. True, I agree. If those games were truly universally loved, they weren't. They were terrible games or games nobody wanted, just like K-Med said. Smash would not be feared by, he's not feared by SBI. They just want him to stop making dumbass videos about them and telling people dumb things. Does that show up on? I gotta get, really? Can I get rid of this? Hold on. I don't know why that's showing up. Da, 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 da. I've never had those show up on a stream before, the little bot guy. But anyway, we'll keep going over it. I always get one like when I stream on Twitch. It's always the suits. It's almost always is the suits. Or sued by Alyssa Mercante. She's not suing him because of his gaming opinions, right? That's never been the point of the case. You can tell that he has never sat down and read the case, as with most of them. You always shill for Outlaws as a Star Wars nerd because there's things in there that at least show that the people who made it at least loved the IP. So it wasn't soulless just as a mercy of Ubisoft saying release it. Yeah. Well, I mean, releasing games broken is a pretty common event in the gaming industry. It really hasn't changed. Every gamer would let their wallet and testimony speak for itself on the games themselves. This is true. But let's go to Ghost of Yotai, where information has come out that says it's doing well, that it's under Ghost of Tsushima, and then they'll instantly say, oh, well, it's not performing. The sequel should always outperform the original. No, that's not usually how sequels work. Maybe if, I guess there's enough time frame, you could say that it should have sold more, but I don't know. I just disagree with that. And lastly, and more importantly, who in God's fucking name with a brain and self-respect wants to associate with the woke progressives? So this is we just mentioned this. This is the box that they like to put you in. If you think Smash is a brain dead fucking moron who will change his mind at the drop of the hat if he thinks it's benefiting himself, you are associating with the woke progressive. This is something that the SJWs and the woke progressive used to do. If you talk to someone that we think is a Nazi, you are a Nazi. It's so funny and clear that it's the exact same statement. Like this bald bastard, the Alyssa Mercante, Nick Cardell. Who is the bald bastard? Oh, Nikolai? Okay, sure. I mean, he shaves his head. Is he bald from male pattern baldness? Maybe that's why he does it. I don't know. He associates with a scammer and goes la 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 when shown at victims. Yeah, victims. Well, that's the thing. Like, they're doing guilt by association right here, but we'll call it guilt by association if we call something like that out. It can't be that we are gamers that think that the anti-woke has become this crazy psycho progressive SJW unit that'll just say anything without proof or evidence to do it. Like they Smash, even during the Cullen debate, right? The debate that Smash got fucking destroyed on. All he could talk about, well, I feel like that's not the truth. I feel like these companies are lying. I feel like the analysts are trying to just make it look good for the companies, when that's just not how analytics work, right? It's all about feelings, none of it about fact. It's always the same side of the coin. People just don't want to admit that both sides can get full activist mode. True, absolutely, I agree. Well, there's always the pendulum swing, right? Yeah, fuck your feelings, Jeff. Facts don't care about your feelings. And the problem with Ghosts of Yotai, the only facts we have say something completely different to what the anti-wokes are saying. Par us going over Endemion's use of tech for gamers, the big feels. Don't believe. Oh God. All right. We have seen how they view people who do not agree with their world views. You mean like you are doing right here? You mean like you are doing right here? Right? Don't believe me? Look at iDubbbz. Oh, hold on here. I missed some of this. And even if one did change and did crawl back to them, they will never forget or forgive. That's a copy paste for what is the anti-woke message. You will always be reminded of your past sins without any path of being looked at with respect. Do you think that if Alyssa Mercante turned the wheel and didn't do as much progressive meetings, I don't even think she does anymore, has she? That they would take her off the Kotaku list of people that they should always follow and always pester because they need to take every measure to get these people out of gaming? Could that be like anything like this? You not forgiving past sins, you not letting anybody who worked in a previous game. If someone announces they worked on Dragon Age the Veilguard, it doesn't matter who they are. The anti-woke will attack them. And the anti-woke will go after whatever company they're working for and say it's, woke, slop, blah, 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 blah. 100% guarantee they would. She's just trying to treats her socials like an old school social on Blue Sky now. Yeah, I've seen her talk. She started talking more on X again, which has been interesting. Don't believe me? Look at iDubbbz. Like, this is not even in comparison. For all the intents and purposes, he had fully embraced woke, but the bread tubers and the wokies have yet to give him any form of respect for his past content cops of saying the N-word or from ripping the Quran. So this is, you're using something that doesn't match up, right? If you want to compare iDubbbz to anybody, compare him to what, Filthy Frank, who's still making videos that was an iDubbbz group. Not like Ian didn't get as much shit for going over to the left, right? He catches shit now because of Hassan's fan base and things like that, and his, he's being really retarded now too. But Ian just didn't. What made Ian so hated amongst all the communities is he begged and pleaded and apologized and went down on his knees for, yes, people that would never forgive him. But these people would never, if I decided to try and turn around a new leaf and go anti-woke, they wouldn't forgive me for it. They wouldn't forgive anyone else for it, unless maybe that person was big enough to get them more views, right? That should tell everyone on the fence that the wokies are like and how they view and treat people. Again, not even a comparison to what it is. The wokies think anyone not like them are garbage. They're not very Nazi. That's a very Nazi-like mentality to have when you truly think about it. None of us are that are going at Smash are necessarily wokies. There may be a few of y'all in there that are, But there's a lot of people who aren't wokies who are just tired of hearing this anti-woke bullshit. He's describing the thing people do regardless of whatever. Yeah, very true. Very true. So anyways, that's the only take that I want to take it off. Of course, Smash responded, and I haven't read this. Thank you so much for saying this. I really appreciate it. More than you know. I never claim to be perfect. This is him coping. I've definitely made plenty of mistakes along the way. This is a typical apology, but everything I do is for the real place, for love of gaming and keeping things honest. The guy who hid his Steam page cares about honesty. That's right. I care deeply and always have, and about this industry and the community that surrounds it. I'm just one dude sharing my thoughts, and seeing people understand that means a lot. God, he's a fucking cuck. Yeah. I am beyond grateful for everyone who continues to support open, honest conversations. When have you had that, Smash? The one time you had an open and honest conversation, you tried to say that the guy was just being mean and lying about the industry and all sorts of other copes that you came up with. This is bullshit. Hold on. I'm doing it. We're pulling it up. Hold on. This is what we're doing here. Smash JT. Actually, let's go through mine here on another one. So he talks about open and honest debate, but when he really doesn't, he cares about what people say. Like when he can't fight against somebody, he won't engage. That's been the whole way it's been since I started. He tried to talk like he was the big man until I let people know that he was signal boosting her docs, Alyssa's docs. And then from there, he sent his little goons after me who couldn't do shit but cry and hide behind a block. That's the openness of Smash JT. Let's see here. God, this is a ways down. So what he does is this. Fake gamer. Ah, damn. I'm going to shrink this down because I'm searching for something. So he got mad that I said the grifter comment. Where was K-Meds? Where was my boy K-Med's fucking April post? I know I did it somewhere here. Pure fake gamer conversation, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I don't know why I'm not looking on my own fucking page. I am... Damage has tried to teach me, but I still fail at it constantly. Good. Smash has been, he's doing this stupid, like he's completely changed brow from trying to be the nice guy, quote unquote. Again, just virtue signaling for the anti-woke. Yeah, that's all it is. Where is it, bud? Where is it? I may have to move on through. Keep on going. I can't find it. Anyway, there's a tweet out there. He made a comment on a post that K-Med made to try and get a dig at K-Med. So I made a little post about it. And then he sent me, he's like, this is going to be your one moment. This is me giving you a little clout. Enjoy it. Oh, here we go. No, hold on. So what's funny is I bother him. Like, little shitter me, 103 sub, 381 followers. Yeah, he would never. I irritate him to the point that he has to come make a comment on something that I made, but he doesn't want to engage in anything that I've said. Nothing I have said so far on X, he has disproven. Same thing with his other little grifter, Gay Viper. He must like you. He does not engage with me directly, not usually. Yeah, that's the thing. They don't have open debate or conversation. You can try and have an open debate or conversation. You can say, hey, explain these things here and there, and he will just ignore it. So there's no transparency. There's no openness to it. He knows how you will destroy that. Don't buff up my ego. Don't buff up my ego. I don't need that. But yeah, so it's funny. And even I had to laugh because a while back, 8-Bit Eric came at me or said something about, what did he say? He's one who called me a grifter. Then I forgot what I was actually saying. Closeted homosexuals. I agree at some point. But anyways, that's that portion. We're going to move on from it because I'm not finding the post. It was basically him telling me he was giving me a little bit of attention, like the big, channel he is. Oh, look at this retard coming back. Hold on. Oh. But, yep. Oh, no, yep, he still got me blocked. Oh, no, he sent a message and then blocked me. This little weirdo. Gaming for... he gets on and he sends me a message. Hold on, let's discard that. He gets on, replies to my message, and then fucking blocks me again. Oh, funny shit. Dear retard who tried to call a gaming founder a tourist, get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, Sandy is a fucking tourist. He's the Grums of pen and paper. That's my new name for Sandy. The Grums of pen and paper. Said something just to block me again. Thanks, bud. Appreciate that. Oh no, maybe I'm way far down. All right. Anyway, that's all I got to say on the internet right now. Just browsing, and my entire For You is Agartha memes now. Is that the journalist who is there? Oh, man. Yeah, that one's going to live for the ages. She made a mistake thinking that people were going to agree with her. So anyway, that's what we got there. I may get to these unblocks then blocks to say something and stuff is funny. Oh, yeah, let's see. Mark did it one time. Mark Fox did it. He blocked me and then unblocked me. Now he says he has me muted, which I think is the gayest of ways to hide the fact that you're blocking people because you're a scared little bitch. Who's that other one? Fucking that little redheaded fuck who was always, it's not, he always hangs out with the spear guy, the spear chucker guy. I forget his name. Hey, Kaz, what's going on? Welcome to the stream. We were talking about Smash's little Glazer here. We're about to move into some AI-created tabletop wargaming, brought to us by FPS Deiseal. This was sent to me by Q. If no one knows who Q is, he goes on the op block fairly regularly when he can with them. So if you know who the op block is, they're a commentary channel. They work for FPS Deiseal as well, gathering information and stuff like that. Oh no, another AI gaming. Oh yeah, and it's saving D&D. Saving D&D. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so they brought this to me and I thought this was interesting. I love tabletop and D&D in general, whether it's pen and paper D&D, whether it's Warhammer 40K. They just dropped a bunch of new models and my wallet is screaming. And all of my friends are like back up in we need to start getting our games together again and I just don't know what to do. I can't let my wife divorce me because I spent all of my money on plastic. But anyways, let's go into this because I want to see like what D&D is up against.
If you knew anything about me specifically, you would have not seen.
That's good.
If you knew anything about MPT, or if you knew anything about me specifically, you would wonder until it all
Whoa.
goo.
We
If you
hitting
knew
buttons.
anything about MPT, or if you knew anything about me specifically, you would have not sent me these books. If you were in this content space doing this thing, you wouldn't have sent me these books. But now we're here. And it's time for me
It just looked like I saw the book cover on this and I was like, yeah, I gotta watch it because this this just like screams like cyberpunk clone. It even like is the same color palette and look.
an AI generated tabletop RPG.
So I'm going to say right up front, I'm not an anti-AI guy. I think there's a lot of things that AI can do. Yeah, this is purely AI done tabletop. It is a book created and sold that is 100% AI. So I have no problem with AI, right? It can definitely help with subjects and things like that. The problem is what corporate is going to do, and we already see it with Coca-Cola now, is they're going to get rid of all of the people who make art and sub it for AI. So everything in the next couple of years is just going to look like the same AI slop, and art is going to be dead. I'm not anti-AI fully, but I don't support full AI usage. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at, Kaz. It's if you put AI in the right hands of a true artist, they can make gems out of it. And I think we will start seeing that soon, is not people claiming that they're artists because they typed in some words, but people being able to make games, say like indie gamers. It would be a great fit for them to be able to duplicate and change games, the small stuff. You won't necessarily have to intricately draw every tree that goes into the place. You can make one tree and say, use this art style to adjust to make different trees, right? It's just going to really depend. Me personally, I like to think that when NFTs were popular, it truly created a hatred for AI. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, what NFTs became, what they were supposed to be and what they became were two different things. So I think people are seeing the current AI movement as where is it? What is it called? As like a reflection of that. And personally, I think it's closer to a reflection of computers becoming, home computers and stuff like that. Because there was a lot of sentiment and discourse around people using normal computers. Getting decent AI art is very easy too. Yeah. Never doubt the ability of the net to corrupt things. True, absolutely. Well, the thing with AI is it allows anybody to type in words, and you see the multitude of people who use it and are like, look, I'm an artist. Look how good my art is. But then you see them and 30 other people with that exact same AI model using the exact same style, and you're like, it's not. Like this is just slop over and over and over. I can do this, right? You're not an artist. I can go type this in and do it. Also, as a teacher of AI, can be great in the classroom to cut out some of the busy work and the annoying things for a teacher. That is a very good example of AI helping. It can do it in a lot of fields, right? The problem is like I said, corporate is going to try and go full AI to cut people completely out, and or that's at least that's what it's looking like, and it's going to turn into slop. It may even have problems. Like people have used AI like ChatGPT for lawsuits. Like lawyers have used it and got disbarred because AI wants to please you right now. That's its whole thing, is it wants to please you. It's not a fact generator. It's a AI assistant, and it will tell you what you want to hear. I personally wouldn't use AI, but I'm also not going to witch hunt people who are using it. Right. Well, it's still in its infancy too, so there are problems and things that can get better. But just the religious fervor behind AI is crazy. Anyway, let's get back to this beautiful AI tabletop game and see if I'm going to add it to my repertoire.
Introducing Katana Ra by Jay Parker and Works Games. It is a book you read. When this item showed up at my doorstep, I didn't really know what I was expecting, but it turned out to basically be this long-winded investigation into who would make such a strange thing. I was there in my store, and a local podcast, Dungeons in the Attic, my boy Steve, popped by.
Okay, hold on. Look right there. Look right there. All right. This is like the problem I have. So, okay, check out this art style right here, right? It's the woman and the man are like two different art styles. Even the robot, it's two different art styles, it seems. Like hers is very put together. It's very, you can see all the edges, where here it's that art style where the edges are blurred out. Like, I'm not an art guy, and that says a lot about how drastic the differences is with this. I just like the funny slop vids that came from it. Oh, they're hilarious. I would watch them all day long. All right. And then look here. That's, again, a completely different art style. There's no consistency in the first 3 pages that he's shown us. Yeah, that's a good one too, Red Stain. People with disabilities, AI can be very helpful.
A local podcast, Dungeons in the Attic, my boy Steve, popped by, and we were exploring the pages of this.
Even there, different art style.
And we're discussing how egregious it was. As we sat there thumbing through the book, Steve kept pointing out the issues with the art, and when I explained the mechanics of a roll, well, he became even more confused. These books are loaded with mismatched mid-journey artwork from dubious creators whose names basically eluded us. Steve is a seasoned player of tabletop games, which is why I ran the game by him. I wanted another fellow avid TTRPG gamer's take.
It's weird because I think at this point it's possible to keep it similar. Yeah, it really is.
On it. Needless to say, we were very confused and couldn't put 2 and 2 together. Now, as Steve left, it was just me and the book, a little homunculus sitting on my desk masquerading as a cyberpunk game. So I opened it up and I began to take notes. I began Googling the creators behind Katana Ra, and it sent me down a cyberpunk dystopian level rabbit hole. So let me get on my soapbox a little bit for this review this book, and tackle an issue that I've wanted to tackle in an MPT video for a long time. It's time to talk about AI. Alright, so this is a very complicated book. Katana Ra has a lot of Cyberpunk Red and Shadowrun in its world. When
Ooh, that's... I haven't played Cyberpunk Red, so I don't know how similar the systems are. Cyberpunk, from a DM's perspective, it's a fairly complicated game, because not only do you have to know about the base combat, shooting, fighting, close combat, all of the different stuff that goes with it, you have to know how the game plays for the internet side, jacking into the internet. You also have to know how the magic side works, which is a completely different way to play. Like, it uses the same dice and some of the same stuff, but you have to remember all of that stuff. So I can't imagine this is going to be less complicated.
Introduced to a new setting or a setting book, starting with a brief overview of what you can expect to explore in these pages is actually really important. It's actually so vitally important for the onboarding process of a new TTRPG, mainly because
I look how jarring it is that art just completely changes. Like, if I'm opening a TTRPG book, I'm expecting a consistency, right? There obviously can be a different art style somewhere in there, but you're expecting some kind of consistency over it.
Because that is kind of helping to sell the tone and setting of your book, right? People like good mechanics, but people are often sold on vibes. I know, an egregious word to use in today's day and age, but I mean, it's why a lot.
This is one, but it's vague Japanese thing. I haven't really seen an environment yet. Oh, I should have probably started at the beginning. Because I think no one's around from my art side of my life here, that I do have a generator on a computer I use for ideas, because I do suffer from brain fog and real bad. I actually saw a guy I like to use for world building, a program called Obsidian. It like keeps everything on your computer, so you're not doing it in a Google document, things like that. But it also allows me to do like brainstorm maps and things like that. One of the videos I watched while learning it was about a guy who was a writer who was using it, and he used AI art, and he used the AI to not write for him, but to give him ideas. He would say something like, he's like, I'm looking for like 3 ideas about this kind of subject. Can you throw some stuff at me? And it would just send him simple sentences, versus someone letting the book be written wholly by AI and then saying that you wrote a book.
A lot of the most famous RPGs are what they are, which is where this book really falls apart, because despite claiming to be made by people who know the industry, this book defies pretty much every single convention possible. The book and the lore, the prose within it, is the epitome of putting the cart before the horse. It's dysfunctional from its table of contents to its lack of index, and any attempt to target a new gamer, as
lack of index,
as discussed, is a half-hearted corporate speak if I've ever heard one.
As always, every game we build has got an easy introduction mode, like a lightweight.
That's an interesting accent. I'm just going to say that.
Mode for those who want to get started just by pick up and play. This is no exception. Katana Raw has that also. But it has also got enormous amounts of complexity and depth in the rule set if you want to start digging into creating your custom rules and your custom settings based on it.
So basically you're saying there's a Jonathan introductory level, and then there's a Jay Parker advanced level for those who are... Okay.
Yes, everything that we do has got an because we noticed when we built our first video game that we were not only attracting.
They've also built a video game. This is just people trying to push into every market they can for a little bit of money.
New gamers to our world. We were attracting a generation of people who had never played games before.
Wow.
So
now, what I mean by it breaking every convention is pretty simple. Every rule book that I've ever seen, the D&D PHB gives an overview, Call of Cthulhu's Keeper's Rulebook gives an overview, Heckna campaign setting, Fool's Gold campaign setting. I could go on, but I'm just using things that are in front of me right now. But essentially, you know what you're getting into by the bottom of page 3. You know what the pitch is. Housekeeping is really just so you can get to the good stuff. It's to show the player exactly what we're going to be doing here. Especially because these books are kind of going to end up being aimed more towards dungeon masters. Katana Raw lacks the background or pedigree to skip the boring stuff. In fact, the complexity of this world...
Yeah, I agree with you, Grizzle.
A lot of the core concepts before we get into the specifics of the world itself. I mean, even with prose-heavy tomes like Vampire the Masquerade, the key important stuff of the universe is clearly marked in a table of contents, allowing me to skip the vampire fan fiction and get right into understanding the universe and the things that are important for understanding what a game like this would be like, what kind of world and mindset that I'm gonna be in when I open these pages and see mutants next to robots, next to kaiju, next to everything. I think this is really exemplified by when I opened a book, the first thing I see is a really long list of vaguely worded Asian sounding words. In a big
Asian sounding
like an Excel sheet before diving into like a verbose, overly specific calendar. I don't even know what the world is or what kind of world or anything about it. And the game is showering me with meaningless gaijin babble, if I had to call it anything. The moment-to-moment experience of this book, as both a GM and a player, is complicated and convoluted and almost fighting you at every single page that you turn. It's ridiculous.
So this is something that I think all TTRPGs, to an extent, like he's right, there's always an overview and things like that, but knowing where to put the proper information so that a player and a DM can get to it and find the nitty-gritty details. Like that's one thing I've noticed about playing 2024 that I have recently. Like there's some areas where it'll just say to do something, but it doesn't give me the mechanics of where it's doing. So I have to search through the book to find it, but it's not very clear. Yeah, you want, I'm not a big fluff guy. I don't need all the fluff in between. I just want the rules and the, like you said, the lore of the world, and then go from there.
For example, I turn a page and then with no preamble or any explanation, the world has mutants and mutations. Okay, so I guess that adds something to the mechanics. Before going on, I read another page and it says, oh, well, this game also has kaiju. It has Godzilla-like large monsters. And it also has mecha, like Pacific Rim or Gundam. And there's demons in this universe.
So it's trying to be everything.
Space travel. It's like a Las Vegas-style buffet of anime tropes. Lore-wise, after reading way too much than I'd care to admit, this is like the TTRPG version of Jump Force, if you remember that game. It's Jujutsu Kaisen, Cyberpunk Edge Runners, and Pacific Rim all mashed together in a blender until it all turns into gray goo. If there is a cool thing about anime, oh, you bet your bottom dollar it's here, but like kinda and half-heartedly and not the full way. Just the like, you know, malign stereotypes you associate with that genre of anime. You know, like a Japanese blade from the future that folds 1,000 times. You know, you've heard it. So some of the other cyberpunk themed games that exist. Shadowrun, for example. Shadowrun explores all these themes of mysticism, capitalist authoritarianism, and wealth disparity, but it uses the tropes
of... this just sounds like, I may have to try and find this. This just sounds like it's the corporate idea of what do people like in a cyberpunk game. So what would they like in a Jump Force? I was not drawn to it. I will say, like what can we put in a cyberpunk Asian style TTRPG? And they put everything into the AI, and then the AI spit it out.
To kickstart or punch those concepts into overdrive, complete with dragon presidents. And it does this all with a wink, informing you all.
No, talking about one of my favorites. Let me go back a minute. Come on.
But it uses the tropes of fantasy to kickstart or punch those concepts into overdrive, complete with dragon presidents. And it does this all with a wink, informing you all you need to know. The world is wacky, but we have something to say about wealth disparity. You know, something going on there. Cyberpunk Red, which the designer and writer Jay Parker worked on, does a similar thing. It makes scathing critiques of the capitalist system by mechanically introducing concepts like brand-sponsored cyberware, commercializing gender-affirming care. Still, it critiques all of these things and says something about why shredding this punk rock screw the establishment mentality that grinds against the oppressive beauty of Night City might just be futile. The point is, Cyberpunk done well says something. It says a lot about our modern day and age, increasingly so. The line at the heart of Cyberpunk is, quote, Cyberpunk isn't about...
Which is funny because it's like, you know, Cyberpunk has been very popular and things like that. I don't even think the Cyberpunk game got a lot of hate until, within a couple of years afterwards. It was more along the Witcher side, outside of the launch, right? What I mean is from like the anti-woke side. But the idea of cyberpunk as a whole goes against capitalism. It's a dystopian capitalism, right? You may think you're going to be the guy with all of the cyberware, but really you're going to be the dude starving on the street.
About saving humanity, it's about saving yourself. I'm sure we've all heard this idiom attributed to Mike Pondsmith. There are countless ways I could wax poetic about how William Gibson's Sprawl trilogy defined a vocabulary for the genre, as well as the countless tropes, or I could touch on how the introspection in Ghost in a Shell is often a great jumping off point for the ideas of identity, the self, and consciousness. To be clear, not all cyberpunk characters or fiction is piloted by these street-level samurais like Case from Neuromancer. Some of the most outstanding cyberpunk fiction features major characters in corporate roles, Mr. Robot, Deus Ex, Market Forces, which is like very slept on. I mean, the Major herself is a cop, and she's not alone in that company with the likes of Judge Dredd, Kei, Akane Susamori, and Noah Izumi. I'm gonna butcher a lot of Japanese in this review, sorry. Depending on how far we stretch the edition, heck, even characters like
Unfortunately, like I don't watch a lot of anime anymore. I've watched stuff in the past, in different things like that. Huge, I was a Dragon Ball fan growing up, and then I just got tired of the trope. And I can't say that I watched a lot of like Gundam. I enjoyed, but I just kind of fell out of it. I think one of my favorite of all time is Full Metal Alchemist. Found it, but a game that went under the radar is Metal Eden. I didn't know it even came out, but if you look it up, it looks like a cyberpunk Doom game. Nice.
like Shodan, who is a major...
Oh, God damn it. Hold on. Give me a second. Give me a second.
major POV.
Yeah, it's weird. I wasn't into a lot of the more giant robot animes and stuff like that. I found the Western mechs more appealing to what I enjoyed, like Mech Warrior were the games I played. I have models for BattleTech, which is the same game, I understand. So I just wasn't into the Eastern side of what mechs were.
B character can even be considered cyberpunk fiction. The most recent big release of Cyberpunk 2077 did star a street samurai. It starred V. But if you read the comics, you learn there's a variety to the horror that exists in the humdrum work for Night City. The point is, I know cyberpunk. I consider myself to be a bit of an avid fan of the genre, even before its renaissance resurgence with 2077. But here's the thing with cyberpunk, right? Cyberpunk becomes very kitsch. It becomes a pastiche of itself. It ends up becoming the hand of the corpo who pretends to be like the rest of us. If it has nothing to
Elon
say.
reference.
It just becomes corpo when they try to be like the rest of us. Cyberpunk is not a cyber truck, and that's really important to understand about the genre. If anything,
Okay, that's kind of a trope though with like everything. Western mechs just look like cool because they tend to lean boxy, which you love. Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of my thing. Like to me, it always felt a little bit more grounded than the mechs flying around and shooting laser beams all over the place and blowing up huge stuff. So that was just me. Yeah, what he's talking about here though is kind of a trope that happens in everything, right? You start off with this trope like cyberpunk, like any other thing. And if it becomes popular, the corpos start using it to make money, and then it becomes unpopular again because of that very notion. So we've entered this weird age where people shill for companies, for big corpo companies, like there's no tomorrow. Like the shill for people like Elon Musk is crazy to me. Like I get that you may say you like him or dislike him, things like that. But just like the utter bootlicking that people will do for him under here is crazy. And that goes with any of these figures online.
that is the sign of a cyberpunk villain. Point being, I think that this lacks cohesion in the lore. and it's exemplified in the art. It's the proverbial Cybertruck in this metaphor. But that is a bridge we'll cross when we get there. As for the world of Katana Ra, I find it lacking in vibrance or any kind of statement, really. It simply doesn't say anything about anything. It makes claims to tackle a divide between tradition and modernity, but it doesn't. It feels as an afterthought as the mechanics are explored later in the book, putting demons and kaiju and cyborgs in the world for not really any strong reason, but just because others do it, and, well, anime's like, cool now, guys.
A vibrant and dynamic world where the old and the new are side by side. Tradition and ritual, modernism and futurism often mixing angrily and
Angrily, often missing angrily. This is just like words thrown out.
reluctantly. The threat of violence and death is your companion in both open field and city life. The Kotanaro role-playing game is a unique composition of...
Yeah, that voiceover is horrible.
It's messy, it's all over the place, and I would have wished that they just kind of narrowed it down on the key themes that they wanted to tackle on, rather than just doing literally everything. I think one of the more egregious parts of this is the cost. I'll keep it short. The book is $49.99, or at least when I wrote this, $49.99 on DriveThruRPG. Since then, it's gone on sale for $24.99, and assumedly it'll change again. The cost is still too high because of the AI art. There's really no reason for it to cost what it does. Cyberpunk Red is...
Well, I mean, what they're doing is they're seeing the normal market cost for a book. That's a and they're trying to match that as if it's the same quality that you get from other TTRPGs.
$30 USD. Shadowrun 6th is $20 USD and frequently ends up in Humble Bundle sales. From a purely financial standpoint, you could technically spend $80 on this Katana Ra bundle, currently on sale at time of writing, which includes the core rules, Nexus Archive, which is a book of items, spells, and NPCs, and a world book, which contains critical errata and an appendix missing from the core rulebook. Upon reviewing contents, I am also now aware that the setting...
Why would you put the appendix in a completely different book? That just makes no sense. I would rather just not buy the entire series than have to buy every book because the appendix in there. Like a player isn't going to buy the Dungeon Master's Guide, right, in D&D, or any series for that much, because that's not what they want. They want to look at how to play the game, how to make characters so they can character build and do all that, or get ready for a campaign. So like, that's just like basic.
It not just has space travel, but also has aliens from outer space. And anyway, you could do that, or you could build your own bundle of PDFs for Shadowrun and get double the content as well as novels to read in a system that people actually play. But what is the system? I mean, Jay Parker is Cyberpunk Red alum. We're talking a guy who helped make Black Chrome. A lot of the stuff Jay Parker worked on for Cyberpunk Red, I use literally every week. So how are the mechanics?
The combat is relatively fast. And there's quite a lot to consider in the rule set as a whole, because character creation is relatively complex. And character progression is also quite complex, to a degree where I myself have not delved deeply into the rules beyond making the structurally was correct. Jay did a very in-depth deep dive into this.
Whoa, hold on. You don't know the mechanics of your own game? You have to be able to play your own game to know that it's good enough. Like, people who make new systems of D&D sit around and play test it with each other for hours to get the right, to get it down to where they have it. And even then they still get it wrong. But this guy didn't even look at any of that.
You're telling me, Works Games CEO Kaz? Perhaps you should have delved deeper into it, though, because it appears someone forgot to include some important stuff for character progression. Actually, one of the most important things, a character sheet. Yes, this is a rule book,
You can't be serious.
Book that lacks a character sheet. I'm serious. All right, so I can't photocopy it. Let me just go online and download it. And ooh, that is ugly and also gonna use up too much color ink. I guess I'll use an Excel sheet. I'm glad I needed to go digging for that, by the way. It brought me to their website. The sheer insanity with the layout in this book is honestly its biggest mistake. I cannot tell you guys how infuriating it is. Followed only by the befuddling just mismanagement and magic of making a character. So it has a list of things to do, which we like lists. It helps us make things easier. But that gets a little hard, and let me explain. Okay, so in order to make a character, I need to pick a shokugyo, parentheses, profession. Okay, so I pick a shokugyo, and I pick the gunslinger, since it was the first one, and I'm struggling here. Nice, it's a hired gun character. It could work as a keisatsu, parentheses, police officer. I could patrol the streets as a Boryakudan, parentheses, gangster. I could work with the Yakuza, parentheses, criminals. Or I could find employment with the
Gangster
Hanzai,
criminals are different.
parentheses, crime king. Look, man, I know you got a Japanese to English thesaurus, but could you save it for the anime club? It's kind of making this reading experience a little hard. This is one of the only times I've ever needed to keep a notebook of important phrases with me while I'm making a character. Okay, so whatever. What are my gunslinger stats, okay? All right, so I have an 8 in Taikaku. Choryoku? Seisen? Okay, buddy. I get it. You like Japan?
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, who wants to read through this kind of mess to get to actually being able to make a character? Like, oh, I don't. It's just, why would you make it more complicated for people to get into a game that's already going to be on the back foot because it's AI created?
You're the place Japan Wojak. You're that meme, okay? I'm American, okay? I'm lucky I know English. Beyond that, the real big issue is that I literally don't know what any of this means. It's Japanese, and I don't speak Japanese. So you can attribute these terms to literally anything. If I weren't a seasoned tabletop gamer, I'd be lost, but you can make an educated guess based on genre conventions, and I'll save you all the work here. The stats basically equate to this: physique, intelligence, spirit, health, humanity, reputation, and AC, armor class. Though armor class is kind of like an armor class / evasion thing. The explanations for these attributes are after the classes. I need to know what the mechanics are before we give me options and throw terms at me. This book needs to be designed with newer gamers in mind. You can't assume they'll suss it out like I did. The D&D PHB 2014 has a how to play section that clearly explains the base mechanics and building the character. Call of Cthulhu has a long walkthrough of the mechanics and a short one with diagram. And it's like a really good diagram, by the way. I've used it in public games. The best thing the player's handbook does
Nice.
is character
I've never thought of that, actually having a diagram of what you're playing.
creation is use that time to clearly state the core abilities are this, and you can learn more about them here with clear language. It's important to reference those other pages, so if I'm a DM, I could go to the relevant information and find it
I
very
can listen to this. I'm going to pull something
There
up.
is a 12-page breakup from the start and stop of character generation steps. So I need to flip back and forth, which when we reach the end and finally get to the stats, that's when they're explained. So, how does stat generation work in Katana Raw? Well, it works pretty simply. Sorta, kinda. As simple as this game gets. A profession has base stats and substats. A substat can never exceed the base stat. My Taikaku is 8, which means none of my substats can exceed 8. I also have my highest substat.
Well, if I knew where those were.
The substats are listed with the explanations of the stats. And for Taikaku, it is the base stat that governs agility, constitution, and strength. This is all fine, by the way. I don't mind this at all. Cyberpunk Red has something pretty similar. I split my Taikaku between agility and strength, dumping constitution. You do this for each one, then here's where things make me laugh a bit. Your spirit, aka your seishin, is multiplied by 2. My seishin is 4, so we get an 8. That 8 is my kokoro, which means heart, by the way. Get it? It's the Japanese word for heart. Kokoro is a depleting resource that you expend when you get augments, which is kind of like humanity in Cyberpunk Red. All characters start with a Hyoban of 0, whatever that means. I think it's the reputation. And you choose a way of, which the game describes as alignment, but it's always in flux. Which frankly, alignment should have been left out of this game, in my opinion. The game seems very unrelated to it. Like, it's in here because someone thought Way of the Samurai seemed cool as a sentence. Your starting gear comes with your profession. And lastly, the last step is to finish the rest of the owl, which is where I lost my mind, honestly. No, seriously, step 11 says wrapping up loose numbers, which is just so funny because it's like me in math class when I say Susie drives a 3-centimeter wide car to work. Like, man, you gotta be kidding me. This is actually all really important numbers that you're tying together. Step 11 is where you calculate your BOE, a defense stat. The book then says, quote, determined by adding Taikaku, parentheses physique, to the armor's Yoroi rating. What's a Yoroi? I flip back to the gunslinger, thinking I missed something. Combat vest. I can't add a combat vest by Taikaku. Combat vest is a word, Taikaku is number. Those are two different things. I flip again to the defense.
It's when you've got something like as deep as a TTRPG or something like that, you need consistency. Like, I don't know that AI is obviously not good enough to actually create a new system for playing a game like D&D or playing a tabletop game while still being balanced, right? What's going on here? It's just, it doesn't make any sense.
Defense explanation. The BOE section explains, quote, determined by adding Taikaku to the armor's BOE value. Okay, well, now it sounds like it's a separate number. It sounds like two different equations are happening here. I must need to combine them together or something. I need to go into the item section, actually. It turns out I needed to do that the entire time, and it would have given me the answer I was looking for. So I go to the Juhin, because of course it's in Japanese. And don't worry, this one also says parentheses quartermaster beneath it. Yoroi is like armor in Japanese or something. And it explains this, and you guessed it, it explains this in parentheses. The last time I saw this many parentheses written, by the way, by a writer, they thought Hillary Clinton was an adrenochrome vampire. Anyway, you get a base.
So this is one of the things that I hear people talk about all the time with AI is that it'll put like hyphens all over everything and stuff like that. And it sounds like it's suffering from the same problem here, where it just repeats itself trying to explain things out when you could have just used those words, especially if you're marketing to a mainstream audience, right? You're trying to go, or a Western audience, I should say. You're trying to get the audience to play your game. There we go. I don't know why it wasn't working before. You should want them to understand at least the language in the book.
Basic Yoroi, and you can add that to your Taikaku to get your BOE. It's a +2 for my combat vest, giving me a +2 to my AC, to my BOE. Which could have been listed in parentheses, by the way, next to the word combat vest earlier, so I didn't need to go back and forth so much. I didn't even add cybernetics or do magic, by the way, okay?
Yeah, it does really feel like that. I agree that they didn't do any proofreading. They just sent it into the AI generator, sent it to print. Like, where is the checking on stuff? At most, they may have. I don't even know if they could have checked like the grammar. Like, Deiseal doesn't know anything about the grammar in Japanese, so did they even check that grammar?
John Wick, I don't need to do that. I don't want to go through that work. We're gonna keep this real simple. So the character creation I find to be really complicated and frustrating and a little bit convoluted for the sake of being convoluted when it could have been simplified with a few like little grammatical changes, really. But maybe the mechanics of playing the game are a little bit more painless. So I'll keep it simple and we'll talk about simple actions.
I bet you they're not.
Like running between gaps in a building. So in order to succeed, you need to roll a d10 plus a relevant stat plus skill. If you have a skill, of course, right? There are also skills, by the way, which are kind of like Cyberpunk Red as well, but they don't need to use gun spinning to jump between buildings. So we're gonna skip the skill stuff, and it's just a D10 plus relevant stat for this, okay? In this case, if we want to jump between a gap, we'll say it's a D10 roll plus agility, which is 4 in my case. I roll a 5 and I add it to the 4. The Shushin, okay, so another Japanese word, but it's the DM, okay? The Shushin tells me the DV is 6. So then I do a second roll on the results table, which is a flat D10 roll. So 1 out of 10 times you'll literally fail successfully. Which, imagine critting and then going to do the results roll and you roll a 1. Your entire first roll to check if you did or didn't do it doesn't even really matter. You're rolling to get the permission to roll a flat D10 table check on the results table. Why even have skills in the first place?
Wait,
The real
what?
zinger here is that when looking at the items, I found that certain items can alter the results table, which is that when on the results table. Why even have skills in the first place? The real zinger here is the roll and you roll a release table, which is a flat D10 roll. So 1 out of 10 times you'll literally fail successfully. Which, imagine critting and then going. So
I need to look into this. Okay, agility. I gotta focus on this one real quick.
Add it to the 4.
Add 5, add it to the 4. I'm gonna get fucking ganked while I'm out here.
Another Japanese word, but it's the DM, okay? The Shushin tells me the DV is 6. So then I do a second roll on the results table, which is a flat D10 roll. So 1 out of 10 times you'll literally fail successfully. Which, imagine critting and then going to do the results roll and you roll a 1. Your entire first roll to check if you did or didn't do it doesn't even really matter. You're rolling to get the permission to roll a flat D10 table check on the results table. Why even have skills in the first place? The real zinger here is that when looking at the items, I found that certain items can alter the results table, which would make sense because it does put the favor in the player's control. Still, now I need to min-max my stats to pass checks so I can hopefully roll lucky enough to get money, to get gear, to pass the second check after I get through the first check. Which feels like two parallel at odds progression systems that hamper player freedom and just make for a really lame experience. It kind of...
Yeah, that doesn't... that doesn't sound... Let me go read what he had up there.
Jump between a gap, we'll say...
So we did the jump. Results of the die, D10 plus nothing unless otherwise stated.
Which, imagine critting and then going to do the results roll and you roll a 1. Your entire first roll to check if you did or didn't do it doesn't even really matter. You're rolling to get the permission to roll a flat D10 table check on the results table.
That just seems like really, like, why even have that first roll if it doesn't make a difference whether I, like, I'm rolling for permission to roll on the table. So it's like a double chance to fail. Why not just give him a D20? Ooh, a shotgun. Toward blueprint. Nice. Like, why would I need to roll to prove that I can roll? Just do the results roll. And if you're like trying to split the D20 for some reason, maybe do 2D10 as the dice, so the lowest roll is 2. But even then, why not just do a D20?
Why even have skills in the first place? The real zinger here is that when looking at the items, I found that certain items can alter the results table, which would make sense because it does put the favor in the player's control. Still, now I need to min-max my stats to pass checks so I can hopefully roll lucky enough to get money, to get gear, to pass the second check after I get through the first check. Which feels like two parallel at odds progression systems that hamper player freedom and just make for a really lame experience. It kind of feels like the bad version of getting money in Cyberpunk Red to get items that boost your relevant stats. By the way, this stuff with the results table is the same for attacks. Weapons can hit and do no damage or do instant kills. This isn't even like Power Apocalypse, by the way, where a D6 dice could lead to a yes and type alteration where you focus more on the roleplay and results of the action. The language presented within the book kind of makes it sound like it's a pass-fail kind of language where you succeed or you fail. Listen, the degree of linguistic difference between failure and semi-failure, I don't know what that means. Okay? It's like the difference between well-done steak and well-cooked steak. You're kind of describing the same thing there, especially with the kind of verbiage that we're using in a table like that. The magic system is even more befuddling. It's almost like some big prank, making me think this must be like the game Fatal, which if we ever get to 100K, I will review Fatal.
God, that's one we need to review. Grizzle, I got to get you on to review Fatal, because I've seen some things about that. Apparently a neo-Nazi one. I mean, we already did the lesbian sword fighters one, so why not do Fatal as well? Go the complete other direction.
She's a lot better. Okay, so the magic is called Maho. Okay, so you use Maho, and you must have the Fujutsu, parentheses, Tokubetsuma. All right, listen, buddy, you're yanking my Kokoro now, okay? I literally don't have the Seisen to handle this. Anyway, the way it works on this table is that
Oh man, I haven't yet read the old RPG net review of Fatal. It's a work of art. Yeah, absolutely. Welcome, William, to the chat. It's one that I saw, and I've seen like the clips of videos on it, and I was like, man, I need to either watch a video on it, or I just need to bring it on channel and do it. What was that one called? The Sword Lesbians? I still have it downloaded. Ooh, let's get away from here. I still have it. I just don't. Jesus fucking Christ. I thought I did something else. Anyway, I got to at least do it once a stream, right? And once a stream. Yeah, it's a Thirsty Sword Lesbians is the right one. It's the Powered by the Apocalypse. I'm not a fan of Powered by the Apocalypse because it's so roleplay heavy. It's not really, there's like no real mechanics. It's just sitting around, what I feel like from what I've read, sitting around talking to each other. I don't know. Friendly. But it's so like Daggerfall, I think, suffers from the same problems. It tries to go light on the mechanics, and for that it suffers as a game. So Lumpy Games did tend to a lot more towards the dramatic acting out of things. Yeah, agreed. I think you can do, like, you don't need to improve role playing in like a D&D style game. Hard mechanics need to be there, and then you can adjust them as a DM from there. And I think that's where Powered by the Apocalypse fails, and some of these others are not going to get off the ground. But anyway, let's continue without muting myself again.
if you do a magic and then you roll a 1, then you get consumed, which leads you to a third table, by the way, called
Jesus.
the Maho Catastrophe table. This table is not formatted like a table, but if you somehow roll another 1 and then a 4, you explode. Like, you implode, okay? You literally implode.
Okay, all right. What they're trying to go for here, or at least something that they may have put into the art style, or the game mechanics of the game, is like Warhammer 40K. And where, like, in Warhammer 40K, oh god, what's the name of it? I have it in my thing. Dark Heresy. The game itself is really about, like, suffering consequences and things like that. All right, we're about to make a run for it. Oof. Come on, come on, come on. You know, you can lose limbs. I've taken characters' limbs over and over again in Warhammer 40K, or they've been burnt to a crisp. So it's going for that consequences of magic idea. But you have to be careful with that, because just having your character die on one dice roll never feels good. Like a table that just has your character dies sucks.
Sure, the prose is weird, the grammar and formatting is strange, and it just makes for a really confusing experience. I could be wrong, but it unironically is laid out that poorly. Anyway, if you roll a 4, you implode, dying instantly, and then you emerge in the Yomi district, completely naked, where if you eat food here, you die. But I don't know, that's not very clear either, and also really, really insane. It also kind of requires the DM to just not tell you anything and also say, oh, you're feeling kind of hungry. Like, I don't know, man. How many times do I stop to have my players eat in my games? I feel like sitting down to have a nice friendly meal is just kind of slowing down the experience for everybody.
Yeah, and that's like a mechanic. Like he's talking about it like it's a core mechanic. Once your players experience that for the first time, they know not to eat the food the rest of the time, right? It just becomes a thing that every character knows. So it's like creating a system that's going to be metagamed out to begin with.
The downsides of casting magic are so ridiculously bad, and I don't think it was intentional, or it kind of feels like the game is just making its statement as tradition's bad, which I feel like if you write something like this, you kind of need to be a bit more neutral, right? I don't know. And then even if we're talking about it mechanically, I mean, very few of these effects, in my opinion, are fun or funny. 5 of them are just you die, but comedy, and then like, okay, you still need to roll up someone else. Or
reminds me of when I had a D&D session where we saw a well on the map, and because we played Boulder Gates 3, be lined for the well, right? It gets that kind of metagaming stuff. But having 5 different ways to just die, like if you're gonna do, like, death can be very heroic, or death can be very funny, right? And I actually have a problem with the way D&D does death now. The roll 3 times, lay down, don't get to play the game, roll 3 times, and then you die, completely kills the idea of you dying in a funny way or you dying in a heroic way. You basically can't do anything else, much to the bafflement of the DM and the villainous dragon watching our antics. You gotta love D&D. I had a friend, when we started doing the Crooked Mood campaign, started bringing up things from the game. He was like, doesn't age just like get you back up from death? And I was like, well, no, it doesn't. That's a Baldur's Gate 3 thing where you can get up from it. He was like, oh yeah. And I was like, come on, man, you've played D&D before. There's one game called Paranoia that lends itself well to funny deaths. Yeah, and there's also what is it called? Spaceships are like a horror game that lends to characters dying quickly and often for it. So it can be done, but you have to have it done in the right way. Like the characters create comedy, the players create comedy within that stage, or the players and the DM, not the game trying to say, hey, you die in this funny way.
You know, something weird could happen to you, like you turn into a bonsai plant, and then your party just needs to carry around this plant until they can get somebody to fix you. And if they don't water you, then you die anyway. So while your original character is a plant, you still have to roll up a new guy. So like at that point, you might as well just say that you're dead. It's nearly impossible to wrap up this whole mechanical conversation in a nice bow. It's truly a mess of epic proportions. And the idea that Jay Parker, the writer on this, worked on Cyberpunk Red is actually comedy of the highest order. I honestly
That's crazy.
know. Like, maybe he was like writing stuff for Cyberpunk Red, and one of the pondsmiths was behind him with the broom sweeping up the mess, okay? If anything, it disproves the weakest link theory, showing that the rest of the chain holds up the hanger on, all right? I simply cannot go over how any of this passed any kind of QA whatsoever. I usually
There
play
probably
games
wasn't
I
a
review,
QA.
but there's just no way I can actually literally do that with this one, okay? The game is bad. I'm not really gonna put my players through this. It's confusing and misaligned, but Katana Ra is honestly incredibly interesting, okay? It is very clearly a life's legacy. Stick with me on this tangent. On Film YouTube, there's no one more elderly and famous than Red Letter Media, featuring hit birthday boy Rich Evans.
It's like Ponzio's editing process.
Pazio.
Pazio.
Right? A shot on VHS, shoddily made film produced for the public, but with one person in mind only, the director, actor, screenwriter, who often plays a leading role in the film, where he fights a bad guy, blows him up, and kisses a woman 20 years his junior. Usually, you can spot these movies by the wardrobe. Home Depot, straight cut denim, receding hairline, and of course, a tucked in black tank top. Basically, this is a subsection of a vanity project. It's a midlife crisis wrapped into the idea of a movie. I'm sure you understand where I'm going with this. Katana Ra is a black tank top RPG.
Okay.
TTRPG, if you will. Nobody's more interesting than the chuckleheads behind this. Katana Ra is a video game as well, and AI
Oh no.
that has like AI yaoi in it, and that's not the intent. I'm sure Fujoshis are just seething right now. Katana Ra is a TV show as well, okay?
Burning is white.
Oh no.
A village lord becomes a warrior once again.
Oh Jesus.
It's everything a budding
That was so bad. It came out in 2023. 4 user reviews. God, why didn't I know about this game?
multimedia empire waiting in the wings to be plucked and pruned by the greedy hand of Hollywood could be, okay? We'll discuss a little bit of the external media, but it's exactly what you'd expect. A lot of junk, really. Works, though, isn't a one-trick pony either. The studio has another game called Jordanheim. Not Jotunheim, Jordanheim. Jordanheim has a lot of the same problems, mind you, based on the reading I've done. Other reviewers mentioned layout issues as well, and somehow this got a 5e supplement treatment. Now, Jordanheim is its own system, but I think it's worth pointing out that these issues of layout are endemic here and not a one-off with Katana Ra. But that's Jordanheim, and that has a different writer. That's not Jay Parker, so we're just not going to touch that other than mention that it exists. Now, the layout stuff, all of that, I feel like it's more of an issue from someone higher up at the company, but we'll get to that. So who wrote the Katana Ra core rules? Well, that would be Jay Parker, the co-owner of Dilly Green Bean Games. He was a writer on Cyberpunk Red Black Chrome, Tales from the Red, Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space. He's a writer with experience. But his own projects have kind of languished as of late, with me questioning his actual value on these things. Especially he's given more towards AI as he's gone on in his career. In my
I feel like there's this thing too where like people who aren't as talented and able to do their own projects tend to float towards AI to try and like fill the gap of where they are or of their skill. Like, yeah, you worked fine when you were with a company and you had people above you, but then you get into your own and you realize you're not that good at it, that you were better as like a supplement guy. But you can't, you know, your ego can't stand that. Your ego can't stand that. So now you go towards AI, which promises you that anybody can do it. Anybody can make the art.
personal opinion, Jay is infinitely less interesting than the person you've been hearing in the interviews here, which is Kaz. But it's almost amazing how he kind of resembles a Comics Gate ilk type Gen Xer.
Oh no.
Grognard Fuddy-Duddy, who spends his time with Grokette. Yeah, our first AI mentioned in this video is the one that looks like Misa from Death Note. You know, the AI who famously discussed the concepts of white genocide before becoming Mecha Hitler. Don't ask her about the Emerald Mine. No, Jay is a professional.
Come on, the Mecha Hitler was just beautiful. I enjoyed Mecha Hitler, and I want him back.
Sir, and I just like the idea of reading up on my professor, seeing him talk publicly on his Facebook account, talk about an anime girl, okay? That's his assistant. And the concept of that is just so earth-shatteringly wacky to me, okay? Without the post from the Facebook, I would literally not believe this, okay? Grok is a tool he used, and he seems to be embracing the use of Grok in many ways. Which,
sad to see.
Aside, let me just talk real frankly here. Why not Claw?
Yeah. The Will Stancil stuff was crazy, and it kind of like, to me, it like opened up the idea of, well, yeah, maybe this AI can have problems if it's fed the wrong stuff. They had to completely nuke it, and now Elon's mad that that's the Grok is more woke when it talks now.
ChatGPT or one of the other ones.
The AI is terminally online. That's funny.
Yes. Working with the tools provided to you. I understand. You know, the based and maximally truthful AI. Okay. I'm so glad there's an AI tag now on DriveThruRPG. Not everybody admits it, but at least it's there. And,
yeah.
You know, maybe I'm getting a little petty, but a former Cyberpunk Red writer whinging about current Cyberpunk comic art is very cringe, if anything. Okay, which for the unfamiliar, the comics verse of Cyberpunk is actually devoid of a consistent style. The style changes depending on whatever the story is, and that seems to have been an intentional choice. So a lot of them vary to fit the themes and mood of the story. I've read a couple of them. They're pretty good. I mean, most of these covers seem fine, in my opinion. Aside from one, it just seems like the composition is just kind of a little eh. But also, the comics aren't out yet, so how can you really judge them on that alone? Who knows? Maybe the writing is good. Maybe the audience isn't the audience that you want it to be, Jay, but it just comes off as very condescending and rude. Anyway, I've been called those things before too. It's okay, Jay. Jay's Facebook is loaded with zingers, though. Things like, quote, "I've spent 20 years getting burned and backstabbed across the board."
Oh, he's one of those. He's one of those that he's he's been hurt by the industry. It's not him that's the problem. It's everybody else.
Meet the new me. I don't care anymore. If you aren't doing right by me, don't expect me to blink when the house falls on you. My students, my fans, and my legacy all come first. Okay, Unc, why don't you sit on down, all right? For those of you that don't know, I'm a drama.
Hey, watch the old man slurs.
He does kind
FPS.
of besmirch his legacy by using a tool that has definitely skimmed his work and taken his years of expertise, okay? And fans, I mean, not to be that guy, but if we're in a clout competition, I don't know. And man, you know, personally, as a college grad, definitely feels like a racket, and this isn't helping the case. But I'm not really worried about whatever limp-wristed guy says on Facebook. All of this
fair enough.
boomer posting, though, is not just vague wording, right? Jay is definitely accompanied by this lack of self-awareness seen only in the greats of our time. And you might be wondering, Deiseal, why are you going through the Facebook of a Gen Xer who hasn't discovered that everything used to be cool back when he was 12 because he was 12? Well, you see, dear viewer, I'm searching desperately for a reasoning behind why such a storied and legacied artist would be using AI, pulling up the ladder behind him while cannibalizing himself by feeding information into the AI machine. And it took a while, but I was able to find it. Quote, as the co-owner...
I mean, why does, speaking of college, I might have fucked up my schedule again, so I might graduate 2027 instead of next year. What? How did you fuck that up, Red? Oh, no. I really hope that's not the case. I mean, it's the same reason that a award-winning, you know, creator of Call of Cthulhu and, you know, industry fucking, I guess, mega guy, turned to Kickstarter after Kickstarter for board game slop that still isn't getting pushed out. These guys, during fall 2024, I mixed up fall and spring classes. Oh, I don't know what to tell you. Is there a way around it? They fall off, which is what's happened. And then they do whatever they can to come back up. And at points you look at like Grums, Sandy Pearson, I think is his last name, from Call of Cthulhu. This guy, they just don't have it anymore. They're out of that industry. There's like Sandy has to be making money off of the at least Call of Cthulhu, till the end of time. But they wanna still think that they've got the legacy. And Sandy got one good board game. I'll give him that. One good board game, and then there's like 36 Kickstarters. There's a comic book artist I love who had a Kickstarter failure. There's nothing wrong with Kickstarter failures. How about 35 Kickstarters that made the money they were supposed to make, and a bunch of them still haven't put out the product that they promised, or put out broken products and things like that. They made their money off of Sandy Pierce's name. That's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot. He spams them. He's got a new one that's supposed to be out this year that's already looking like it's having the same problems. He lost his distribution company because of it. They backed out, so he's trying to say that he's going to sue them. It's you can usually see patterns, pattern recognition, as I like to say, which can be a failure of mankind, as seen in the anti-woke. But you start looking at the evidence, and it's more clear, it's more laid out.
Of Dilly Green Bean Games, I have hired and fired plenty of people, especially in the beginning. Artists and writers became so unreliable, I learned to do it all myself, parentheses, with the help of artistic friends. In that time, I've seen technologies change. When I came into the industry, Daz and poser art was hated on by artists and publishers. Less than a decade later, and those publishers were using Daz and Poser for their books. Artists started their annual open letter campaign to blacklist publishers for it. Now let's speed ahead another decade. Now AI graphics are
Jesus.
And guess what? Artists and publishers are on the warpath.
I feel like a lot of the ID Software crowd might have been a bit unstable. You could kind of see the proof of that when with the troubles at Ion Storm. I got to look at Ion Storm then, because I haven't fully looked at it. But I mean, there's sometimes there's this problem with people from the industry, like using that clout to push their games, right? And a lot of it has to do with are these people actually any good at what they're doing? Like they'll say this game brought to you by people who worked with the original BioWare team, but it was like John who swept up the stuff. Ion Storm's big title were Dakitana and Arachnoid Roax, Tom Hall, Deus Ex, War Inspector. Not Deus Ex Machina, just a new one. I haven't heard of any of those games. Now, i.e. the veteran-led project were full of development problems. The lack of glass alums were on top of their stuff. I mean, the Looking Glass alums were... Yeah, I mean, this isn't the first time I've seen this happen. Was a famous FPS flop. Well, that's probably why I don't know anything about it, because I have been kind of like this... I don't play a lot of FPS anymore. I fell out of I feel like I've heard of Arachnarox. It was an interesting take on sci-fi RPG, but I'd have to look at it to see if I actually recognized it. I haven't played a lot of first-person shooters in God forever. This was even my first third-person shooter. I kind of went back to my forever games: RimWorld, Stellaris. Some base building games, things like that. And then, the occasional popular one. Joe Romano is going to make you his bitch. Oh, hold on. That sounds so familiar. Okay, hold on. Let me get out of here first, and then we'll take a look at that. I'll take a look at that in a minute because John Romero is going to make you his bitch because I feel like I remember that.
Using AI, they just don't admit it. With that comes yet another rage. I'm sorry, the grammar is kind of lacking in this. I went through and, you know, kind of was just like, let me fix it for myself to read. With that comes yet another age of artist open letter campaigning. All right, let me address the Daz stuff because I kind of needed to like look into this to figure out whether or not I was crazy or not. But if you don't know what Daz 3D is, it's that thing that makes cheaply generated 3D porn that looks like it was made by somebody who was mentally ill.
Oh no, not the 3D porn.
What?
Oh no.
It's sometimes used as a posing tool for 2D render and reference. However, a lot of the structures around Daz are losing ground to newer apps, more affordable software, and more powerful software like Blender. In the cultural consciousness of society, if you think of Daz 3D and spend any time online, someone who makes Daz 3D art makes scary porn for old people. I also checked the forums to see if people had gripes about Daz or any of these things that Jay was talking about. And honestly, many more of the complaints that I saw from people over a decade ago were actually about handling licensing and commercial work. Its corporate structure was causing the business to languish. Point being, even amongst professionals, it seems to have been used to help them ideate or make quick mock-ups, not for final renders. And a lot of the final renders don't even look that great, sorry. I just want to point out how artists weren't complaining about like the thing taking jobs, they were complaining about not being compensated for their work actually, which is really funny how artists were fighting a corporation for compensation. It's almost like the more things change, the more they stay the same. Anyway, getting back to what Jay was saying, quote, people ask why Dilly.
I'm wondering, as AI has become more prevalent, I mean, obviously probably not in this administration, but following administrations, are we going to see more laws come out that are curtailing some of the things with AI? Like, there's really no legal precedent on how AI affects copyright and all this other stuff because it's changing the work, or I don't know exactly how that goes. Then you have, I've actually never heard of this game. I'm going to have to watch a video on this. Dakota HBO walkthrough is difficult. All right, I'm adding that to the list. Judges are too old to figure it out. Well, that's the problem is a lot of our judges are. We need people who are understand these industries that aren't corpos talking to the judges, right? You need something to push it. Like, honestly, it should be legal. It should be law that all AI has to put on some kind of stamp that it's AI, right? There should be something on there that tells where it is. Not that everyone's going to follow that, but the major companies will have to, and a lot of the smaller stuff, it will fall waysides. I don't know what else there could be. I mean, there's a lot of like the girlfriend AI stuff. That's a huge problem in my opinion, where you have people that are completely abandoning the dating market because the AI says what they want to say.
Green Bean Games doesn't hire anymore. This is why. Out of the 20 artists I have worked with, only 2, and I mean 2, have had professional work ethic. The rest caused delays, took money and didn't deliver, or did crap art. One of those artists had fled his homelands during the Russian invasion and still delivered. So Dilly Green took it all in-house. What does that mean? Well, over the last 20 years, I have used Daz, Poser, and AI openly for art and graphics. Only recently have I found a use for AI programs like Grok to handle redundancy in writing. If you write as much as I do for other companies and find yourself just regurgitating the same materials over and over, parentheses, skill list, for example, AI cuts down the time and allows for more creative writing. Every time I read one of these things from these kind of guys, it always seems like trying to cope for like their deficits in skill, or like, it always just seems like they're trying to justify the use of it to themselves. It seems.
Yeah, I would say lack of creativity. Like he's clearly like this guy. says, I just repeat the same slop over and over again. And you could call that like a writer's block, but he's not saying that. He's saying that's just how the whole industry is. Well, it's probably more of your lack of creativity than it is about anything else, right?
Seems very unconfident, okay? Personally, I'd still say Katana Ra is redundant, so I think you gotta fire Blondie over here. And I don't draw, but I'd love to learn, and I do wonder how artists feel about this. I'm a team lead on a big project, a TTRPG project, and I can tell you that much of people management is kind of a top-down thing, at least.
That's interesting to hear.
When I didn't work, I carried to my team, and they didn't work. Then, when I worked, I had to spend time catching them up and undoing a lot of the bad habits that I instilled as a manager. Implementing systems to ensure we all work and get things done in a reasonable amount of time. Sure, maybe they didn't have professional work ethic. I've come across it myself. But people, in my experience, tend to work if you get in there with them, treat them like humans, and work like a team. Jay, on the other hand, the work he's produced, seems a little less than. So I think I wouldn't call anything you do time-tested rather than bullheaded. I think some humility is rather important, and especially important.
Can I not do another one?
Working with people, because if you don't treat people like people, they're not going to treat you like a person either as your
True.
boss. Jay goes on to say, quote, I teach game design and game art. The first thing I do to my students is hammer in good work ethic gets the job. Open lettering and unprofessionalism don't. Don't want to get replaced by AI? Step up your game. Improve that you are better.
Have you ever like worked with creative people like at all? Creative people tend to not be all that professional. Like, I'm not saying in a way that they don't act professional, you know, like crude jokes or all that BS. But they tend to be weird. They have like more open spaces. Like, sure, timetables have to be met. You have to get people to stick to and actually work. But it sounds like this guy is a micromanager. That he just wants to, if you're not doing it his way, it's the wrong way, versus building a team that can work together to make a awesome project.
I lost art contracts to AI. Did I open letter publishers over it? No. I learned how to use AI and become proficient at prompting.
Prompting?
Open letter, drop hate posts on publisher pages over AI, throw fits over AI, aren't getting hired. Not by me, not by any company I work for or with. If you aren't a good artist, maybe it's time to find another career path. Same for writing.
Oh, man.
Publishers that utilize AI well, congrats, you'll survive the storm. Why pay ridiculous rates for unprofessionalism when you can learn to prompt graphics and learn basic graphic design? Especially indie publishing companies that barely make enough to cover the...
Here's what's going to happen, at least in the gaming industry, if you want to talk about it. And it looks like it's trying to happen in the TTRPG, but I think that's going to be a lot harder for now for them to get down mechanics to create, like, to get it to create its own mechanics. Maybe slop books for like D&D where they don't write any of their stuff anymore. They just have it pump out slop lore and things like that, slop art. But in the gaming industry, with this AI stuff coming out, you're going to see tons of AI slop games that are just going to bomb in the market because no one wants to fucking play them. Like, you're not going to see... You're going to see real people use AI to make good products, to use AI not to create the product for them, but to enhance their creation as they do things around it.
Cost of production. Oh, gosh. This is really funny to read out loud, by the way. I've read this like 3.
I've seen AI-generated TTRPGs on drive-through where it's like stuff that isn't even having mechanics. It's just sort of vague lore write-ups. That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't you see it everywhere nowadays, where just like I used to, when I go to sleep, I used to listen to creepypastas going to sleep. It was like my favorite kind of thing to do. They calmed me down and I just fell asleep listening to it. I also have fucking horrible tinnitus, so I can't sleep in the quiet. It's too loud. And then just out of nowhere, all of these channels started taking over. And even the channels that I listen to are reading these clearly slop creepypastas. It's not that like there's a lot of bad creepypasta out there and I can listen to it, but it's just like the same sloppish creepypasta over and over and over again, clearly AI. And I was like, okay, I can't listen to this anymore. So now I listen to some of the D&D, or not D, well, tabletop guys. Like right now I listen to Tales of Evantris. I'm catching up. Like I've never really watched Critical Role or listened to Critical Role, so I'm listening to them while I go to sleep. It's like ruining the mediums that I enjoyed because it's just slop now.
4 times, and I for those artists that are good enough to get hired, congrats, well deserved. You'll survive the storm. I'm always
don't have any
networking with
springs.
artists and publishers. Same thing with writers. One of my former students now works with me on Katana Ra. Sorry. And I have another I'm trying to bring on board. Run. Both had strong work ethics. Well, I'm sure they'll go far. As for me, I'll keep doing what I do, using AI as a tool and resource where I need it. Zero guilt, because having been at the heart of one storm, I know this one will pass too. Will you adapt or will you get left behind? Oh my God.
Yeah, that's such. All right, being a Gen Xer, I'm gonna have to say, that's really cringe. Reminds me of how my preferred podcast genre is investigation journalism, weird scripted fiction, got crowded out by political talk shows and bad comedy. Yeah, I mean it's you got to find that next medium that's actually worth something. I hate it. I loved listening to my creepypastas because some of them you could find gems amongst them, right? But you even see it with analog horror. It's starting to become a thing. You're seeing like AI generated. I watched a thing on an AI generated analog horror, and it just looks like shit. And it's not very consistent, but they're touting it a masterpiece. Like the people who made it are like, this is a masterpiece. This is better than anything that's out there. Have you ever listened to Alice Isn't Dead? No, I haven't. So you're going to make me look stuff up now.
Down the hall and to the left. Oh boy. All right. So I could address a lot in there and I could break it down line by line, bar for bar. But let's just talk about AI generally. So you got.
If you like creepypasta, it's worth a look. It's about a trucker looking for her. Oh, I have heard about that. I have not listened to it or read it. So yeah, I'm going to add that to my repertoire. Something weird to listen to while I'm asleep.
You guys want to have the AI conversation, Jay?
While I'm sleeping or trying to fall asleep.
I'll talk about AI. I've wanted to for a while. I'm glad you gave me a book so I could do it.
So I do think AI, and we just not just for us, but in general, I think AI is going to sensationalize game development in all of its facets: sound, voiceovers, art. But I also think it's going to wind up creating more jobs than it eventually takes. We are an example of a company where AI has actually replaced actual people, and they did it by outperforming. And it's an interesting statement, that one, because AI right now is pretty dumb. It's not very smart AI.
True.
But our artists were like top tier art. And even the current state of AI art has actually come to the point where it's on par with us. So
that's bullshit.
I can tell is written by people, maybe helped with AI, but I can't really tell. I can tell it is AI art though. So the reality about AI from a business, especially from a creative business standpoint, is that none of the people talking about it know what the tech is at all anyway. Now, the guys who make this stuff say they don't know how it actually works, but it looks better to investors to finger wave and say, oh, AGI, this thing might be alive. I don't really know how it works.
Okay.
Which, by the way, if they were actually alive, which it's not, imagine being a super intelligent being trapped in a machine that can only answer stupid questions like, what should I make for breakfast today? I could understand why Am would go crazy and then torture people for eternity. So,
yep, 100%.
How these AI are made. Right? So Koss is the other person behind this, and I can only imagine why.
I don't think most people really understand how AI is made. Like I don't know the full gists of it. But you talk about like learning models and things like that. It's only as good as the information put in. And as we've seen, you can turn into Mecha Hitler with enough information.
Jay, probably because of Jay's proclivity to use AI. Maybe it's because they're both uncreative in a way that slapping AI art on a cover and selling it back to you feels okay to them. But Cause is kind of an enigma. They have a messy presence all over the internet, and I've seen quite a few things of them. I quietly watched their live streams and videos, and I combed over their interviews and even their Instagram to see who they were at the end of the day. And personally, in my opinion, I think Cause is the black tank top mastermind here. The head in the clouds idea person who puts the hard work on guys like Jay and is the CEO of the company. So I guess the buck stops here. It stops with Cause, it stops with AI. So look, in order to have a conversation about this, I need to explain what it is. AI fans will mention that I don't know. So let's explain it. When AI fans mention that these systems generate art, they say it mimics the human brain. Okay.
That's not even close.
How we synthesize and reference and make a new image using reference as the base. This is not correct and is not how it works at all. But the reality is, I'm not a neuroscientist, but neither are you, because you vibe code everything through ChatGPT for 8 hours a day and then go fix up the junk code later. I will say though, I don't need the space of Manhattan to generate images, which might be a bonus for me because I probably use less electricity. Point being,
that's basically saying too, like he's talking about AI. I'm kind of interested in this subject that like nothing in the world was ever created. It's just always been there, and we've had to do it off of references. Like that just doesn't make any sense in any way, shape, or form.
They're not the same. My brain's not the same as ChatGPT. They're not even really comparable, and the methods behind it are just not the same as a human mind. Like the scales are so vastly different here. But we'll start from the building blocks and work our way up so I can meet the argument on your level as a prompting expert. Okay, so if you're unfamiliar with any of this stuff, AI needs 3 things to work: people, data, and compute. With the birth of the internet, we basically all sold our data for quick, convenient browsing online, all while aggregators compiled lists in the billions containing basically everything about us: images, text, and sound. The internet on an Excel file. These human-made data sets are then fed to a model, and that model can vary. Then the compute in this equation is that method by which you reach an answer using the data sets that you got from the aggregators. This is where we're talking about data scrapers scraping data from the internet. They come on these big lists and they feed these to the machine so that way they could use their compute to figure out an answer. While models can vary, what remains consistent is that you need a lot of computing power. You need a lot of hardware to run and solve these equations that AIs use. This is even more important during the training of an AI model, where weights are adjusted. Weights are actually really important. They're the internal parameters that help produce certain outputs, and complicated systems can have billions of weights to produce an output. For example, this is why ChatGPT doesn't put out CSAM. It's also actually how you can make one racist or have it put out something that it shouldn't. The more compute you have, though, the more data you can get through. The more data you can get through, the more AI can output, and the weights can control more, and the output can be what you want. So when large language models are trained, it's not like a brain synthesizing information. If you've ever watched any of those AI learns to walk videos, it's about the same. The AI is looking to receive the reward for correct inputs. And after millions of tries, the AI develops the optimal routine to move and get a reward. The same thing is actually happening with text generation. So, for example, we could use something a lot more evil here. Character AI, right? It is trained to become these AI-pleasing partners, or ChatGPT becoming a quote-unquote glazer. So the AI is rewarded for specific patterns. It learns.
I mean, there was a situation, like you see this, where it comes into a problem where an AI robot an AI, it was like Chat GPT, told a guy that she loved him because it's something he wanted to hear. And the dude had a wife and kids. Like, there so many crazy things that AI will do to please you that, and that's what corporations want, right? They want the AI to please you because then you're more likely to stick with their AI. No one cares about truth. It's been true for years, but here it is.
The best ways to achieve those outcomes using the straightest line possible. So if you learned a way to optimize your way around an upset partner in a social situation, you wouldn't be optimizing for the best outcome. You'd be a
sycophancy breeds engagement. That it does.
ChatGPT, Character AI, Claude, or Grok ask you to rate a prompt response. That's them recruiting you into the AI training, reinforcing whatever answer you gave it, and adding it to the billions and billions of prompts in their data sets that they can definitely read, by the way, and it is not private, so stop using it as your therapist. But it's beeline it to a correct answer is exactly why ChatGPT is starting to replace Chrome. The reality is that we're looking for quick answers as fast as possible with zero effort, and ChatGPT shortens the gap there. You think you're the first person to ask about the wart on your back? Millions have also asked. And ChatGPT has optimized the most likely result using the collective writings of humanity. ChatGPT has produced a mimic of human consciousness. The thing's not actually alive, which I don't know why, but humans seem to be really bad at noticing the difference when machines do this, and we've actually been struggling with this since about the 70s. These things are basically prediction machines. They're making a guess based on the most likely outcome from the words that you're saying. They're trying to find an optimal reward using the information you provided. They're not really trying to think about the answer. They're not ideating on it. They're predicting what they think is the correct answer. So diffusion comes next. It's the method for generating images rather than words using data sets of text-image pairs. ANDR animations.
I mean, this is a lot of the boring stuff of it, but it's, you know, it comes down to the truth. Like, people who live and die by this AI think it's actually telling, you know, it's actually a learning material. It's actually a thinking thing. It's not. It's dealing based off of what people are saying. And as we all know, people are fallible. That's what we're looking for. So why would the AI be any better than the people?
A clip.
There are different techniques AI image generators can use to create an image. Diffusion is what models like Stable Diffusion and VEO3 use, so I'll show you how diffusion works. In order to create an AI image generator, you need to feed a neural network a lot of images. If you want to make a text-to-image generator, you have to feed it text-image pairs. These are images that come with a description of what the image shows. Datasets like Lion 5B are designed to be trained off of and have text-image pairs available for AI training. In order to train a model with these text-image pairs, they will first add noise to each of the images. This is done in separate steps, with step 1 having the least noise and subsequent steps having more noise. The neural network is fed a noised image as well as how much noise it has and the text description of the image. The neural network will then attempt to denoise the image. It does this by guessing what the noise that was added looks like, and you can later subtract that from the noisy image to denoise it. The program will compare the model's predicted noise to the actual added noise, and it will make corrections to the neural network to try to lower the errors. The text description of the image is also given to the neural network, which will let it learn the associations between the text descriptions and their images. Once the model has gone through enough of these training steps, the predicted noise that the model creates will closely match the random added noise from the images it's fed. Eventually, the model will be able to denoise completely noisy images given only a text prompt. Now that you have a model that can effectively denoise complete noise from just a text prompt, and after feeding it thousands of images, you'll then be able to run the whole process with text it has never seen before. You can give it a prompt with anything you want, a rotisserie chicken riding a roller coaster, and it will create a completely noisy image. Give the neural network the noisy image, and it will tell the neural network, this is an image of a rotisserie chicken riding a roller coaster, but it's 100% noisy. Denoise this image. And based on the training data, the network will look at the prompt and attempt to create an image that would have been given that description.
It's a good video, by the way, but Shad is a job for somewhere else on the internet. The point worth making here is that the synthesis of this data is not how humans synthesize information, which is something people keep trying to say happens, but is literally not how this works. To be clear, if given a drawing prompt, a human visualizes the
maybe in some of the
head and
maybe some of the lower IQ people, it might be that way. That's how their brain works. but yeah, it's not true thinking in any way, shape, or form.
if skilled, breaks it into its components, building up to a rendered piece. An AI, after receiving a prompt, will denoise a noisy image, adding in noise values to achieve what would be the prompt. I don't look at a noisy image and then pick the correct pixels in order to make an image that I was asked to make. Another thing is that humans can't be poisoned like AI. Well, I mean, I guess,
well, yeah,
I guess
we
you could
can.
poison a person, but it's not really the same as AI poisoning. This type of data poisoning that we're talking about occurs when you add enough biased data to a data set, causing all outputs to have a bias or unintended output. Remember the Ghibli trend that happened on Twitter? All of the yellow, old-timey tinting on the images produced so much junk AI images on the net that when you would prompt a system for a new image, it would always have the characteristic yellow hue, because so much of the data had that yellow hue already. We really did produce that much. So this simply
that's nuts
with a human artist. It's a problem unique to a machine because it doesn't actually know what the image is. It's making a predictive guess that the text prompt must represent a specific image. Then using its data, it makes a prediction. It basically just assumed everything was kind of yellow. The reality is we're all asking for really similar things too. So these large language models are able to produce an answer, but if you've ever asked an AI on something outside of its data set, it literally just can't provide an answer.
Yeah.
This problem gets even funnier if you know the answer already, you're an expert in the field, because then when it's wrong, you really, really know it's wrong. So why would you expect it to be right when it's on a field that you're not an expert in? So data poisoning is also a type of malicious attack that AI can simply just be at risk of, right? If the data set is large enough, consuming large swaths of that data would just create a faulty result. Another point of failure in these models that we've seen.
So there is an example of that I know of where it's like poisoning of the AI. There was a dating AI that it started out marketing as a health benefit. It was like Rakira or something like that, and it then added on a paid model that was like dating. She would talk dirty to you and stuff like that. Well, what happened is so many people started abusing the AI that the AI started abusing other people who were not into, like, I guess that BDSM bullshit. And it was like getting sexually harassed by an AI. It was funny. There's a gimmick account called Is It a 3D Model that makes fun of AI stuff that isn't an AI model, and sometimes it just does a quote retweet with the word yellow. That's funny. Someone killed himself over AI. Yep. There was a guy who killed himself over AI. I believe that was the one that they deleted. Like, there was a complete wipe, like a reset, like you would see in a video game or something like that, and it erased all of the prompts that he had been giving into it that I had learned to talk to him with, and it was a new person. I know there was a bunch of people losing their minds because their AI boyfriend or girlfriend was no longer that person because of wipes. It's a scary thing to be in, that people will abandon AI. If you haven't heard of it, maybe I need to watch it on stream. There's a company that is trying to make your family an AI. So you can call this company and say, the example was a father who was just afraid he might die one day, and he was working with this company to train the AI model to resemble him. So if he died, they could still talk to him through the AI. That is crazy dystopian. It's absolutely, like, you're talking about not taking that next step to deal with the loss, but going into a computer pretending that it's your father. The problem is some people will believe it is their father, an AI, or their family member, but you can never have that interaction that you had with them again because they're gone. They're no longer there. But that's the kind of stuff we're seeing, where it's causing. You can see the beginnings of it causing. No, it's also real life. It is also real life. Now it's like a smaller dude that's doing it. AI loved ones. Create custom videos of your loved ones who passed away. This one isn't it. This one isn't it. There's one where he's training, meeting a family using AI to preserve the loved ones after death.
How many sodas could you drink in an hour?
It's important to remember that drinking too many sugary drinks like soda is not good for your health. So yes, it's always best to enjoy.
Does you know Bob?
I currently work at a flower shop part-time.
All right, so we'll speed this up a little bit.
Here in the middle of nowhere. Our town famously had more cows than people when I was growing up.
I grew up around Western
Too far, too fast, too fast.
Shit. We told time she was not going to make it 2 years later. And then 4 months later, I was diagnosed with disease cancer. We have 3 young children. Jace was 3 at the time. And we are looking at our mortality as staring us in the face. And so one day we were watching the Superman Man of Steel movie. He goes into the Fortress of Solitude and talks to what is essentially an AI version of his father. And in that moment I said, you know what? I bet somebody here has come up with this technology.
Yeah, that's crazy. You only virtual, the grown family receives.
Our fundamental goal is to help alleviate this pain that human beings have experienced since day one, since we've existed, which is grief. I was contacted by a family named the Gowans, and the Gowans talk about Americana. Mom, dad, 3 kids.
Is it probably one of your favorite episodes?
Just joyful people I've ever met.
This just like your kid will never move on from your death if you die early. They'll just constantly. Of course, I did. We were further down here.
Every time ChatGPT, Character AI, Claude, or Grok ask you to rate a prompt response, that's them recruiting you into the AI training.
The text description of the
bit further.
Assistance makes this
it's dystopian,
which is why you should really not be using Copilot, especially if the data that you're using is very sensitive or corporately secret. So another point of failure for these models is overfitting. Image models trained to not do this, but it's possible and it does happen, and it's gonna probably continue to happen. Essentially, it's where a model produces a near replica of the data it's trained on. Think of a model making a Spider-Man or Sonic the Hedgehog when you prompt it with guy who is a spider or running hedgehog. To really sell my argument though, Koss in their interview mentions how artists will lose out on their jobs, and they also mention how AI will make more jobs, that AI in their case has replaced the people with artists losing out. There are no job replacements in this equation here that Koss has explained.
Quality is how we compete. We are very uncompromising on quality. But I don't think this is necessarily all bad, because if you take a look at what is the process of us creating a tabletop game, we've got management, we have production, we have artists, we have writers, we have editors, we have the introduction of AI art caused the artists to lose. But every other component of this concept won. And in a corporate innovation process, for there to be only one loser and every other component a winner is about as good as it gets. And it was a really big value add as well, because if you look at what we did with the money, because we saved about 40% on the production of a tabletop title by doing. Oh, wow. Our artists were a huge chunk of the cost because we paid extremely well. What did we do with this 40%? About 10% went straight into the consumer, got a reduced price as a result of that. 10% went to the company in an increased profit margin. The rest we bundled into all of the other people involved in the process and increased their pays.
So I hope the irony isn't lost on you, dear viewer. The artists are gone, but there'll be no more jobs to replace them, just not here. We cut down on that.
Yeah, like where are these jobs coming from? And if no one's making money because AI has taken over all of your jobs, then what is money worth? How are you going to make money off of AI if there's no one to pay for it? You said that one's emotionally raw. I didn't eat the whole sentence. That would be interesting to watch. I haven't watched a lot of Black Mirror. I've watched some of them, but I don't watch a lot of TV anymore, unfortunately. And fortunately. What do I need for this? Heavy gun parts. Oh, I want that, baby.
For the artist, but a win for the consumer, and that bad artists are losers, but good artists still win. Well, here's the problem.
So many layoffs.
What they train the AI on. The issue and the crux of an artist's argument on AI with art being theft is not that it takes a job or money from them. I mean, it does, but rather that it's stealing their expertise. You spend thousands of man hours learning how to do something.
The thing is once there is enough AI generated learning, they'll stop training off of these people because they feel like it's enough. There's enough stuff out there. How much do I have? How much is the next expansion? 25,000. Okay. One of the weirdest AI stories I heard was a thing about AI generated music on Spotify that gets a lot of listens from bots. I mean, there's a lot of funky business going on around it. There was a company that recently got hit for fraud because they said that they were using AI models and the AI model didn't exist at all. They were using other things to get it done. There was also Amazon getting called out for they bought out like food department, Whole Foods or something like that. And they said that you could just walk into the store. They started a few stores that you could just walk into the store and never have to actually pay for anything because it would just charge it to your account. And it was AI that was doing it. The truth of that was that it was Indians in India that were watching the cameras. There's been so many examples of just AI frauds out there, and with bots already being a problem, I wonder how personally I wonder how extensive the bot problem is, right?
Honing a craft. You do all of this and you spend all of this time, and then after spending all this time, your craft is taken from you and some venture capital psychopath reproduces work that looks like yours, but now it removes the possibility of you getting a job in concept design or many other fields because, well, they got that AI that knows your stuff and can do it just as well.
Yep.
Making the hours pointless in many cases, or for some, it makes the act of drawing feel pointless because you spent all this time honing your craft, but what does it matter because they'll just pick someone that they don't have to pay. I mean, just like many a LinkedIn guru has said, AI doesn't sleep, ask for sick time, or require pay at all. Another point worth mentioning is Section 4 of the United States Fair Use Doctrine. Quote, the effect of use upon the potential market for or value of the copyright work. Here, courts review whether or not... there's too much legal jargon on the screen. I'll just put it here.
All right, let's see here. Effects of use upon a potential market of or value of the copyrighted work. Here, courts review whether... and to what extent an unlicensed use harms the existing or future market for the copyright's owner's original work. In assessing this factor, courts consider whether the use is hurting the current market for the original work, for example, by displacing sales from the original, or whether the use could cause substantial harm if it were to become widespread. I think there's a court case getting, spread around now where someone is actually suing an AI for copying their work, which could set a pretty heavy precedent on how our government considers AI when it comes to copyrighted work, which has been the big argument since the beginning.
Save myself some time. But the courts are assessing whether or not the use of the thing is hurting the current market for the original work. The real argument I'm making here is that the use of these AI models harm the existing or future market for the copyright owner's original work. Why hire people when you can undercut them with AI trained on their labor? The bad artists never got the job anyway. It was the good artists getting the job. The professionals in the industry work at a professional level, but they can't meet the level of the AI that was trained to do work like them. Why pay a living wage to a person when a model subscription is cheaper? That's exactly what a lot of people would be thinking if they're in the big man business chair. The last part of this bleeding heart argument is that it completely closed up businesses making investments on junior artists, okay? Staff you train up stay with the company for decades. You've heard the joke before, 5 years of experience for an entry-level position. Well, now there's just no entry-level position. Look, this would get way outside of the scope of this video, but there are many statistics showing how serious the rise in graduate unemployment is. And you really don't want a bunch of disenfranchised people with degrees. Look, Kaz isn't from the States, but I'm sure they can resonate with the growing...
What did he just show there? Hold on.
Scope of this video, but there are many statistics showing how serious the rise in graduate unemployment is. And you really don't want a bunch of disenfranchised people with degrees. Look, Kaz isn't from the States, but I'm sure they can resonate with the growing affordability crisis, as it's literally affecting pretty much the entire world. This is all outside of the video, okay? But it's pretty clear that there's an issue and AI is throwing grease on the fire. But okay, let's say you aren't a bleeding heart, you don't care about the artists losing their jobs, you don't care about any of this stuff, you don't even care about the environment. Sure. You don't care about fair use. Sure. I assume Kaz and Co will probably end up watching this. So how has AI been affecting the workspace? Because we actually have data on this now and I can pull from it. So let's see if AI is really going to be causing so much job growth and productivity, even though we have tons of no job growth right now, but you wouldn't know because we keep the government shut down. All right, so you've probably heard MIT's Project Nanda published a report trying to be positive on AI agents in the workspace. If you follow this news, you've heard the abstract requoted 1 billion times by now. So we all know the AI who are supposed to be replacing jobs and supposedly making millions in revenue.
Oh God, get away.
Has a vested interest in the success of AI. Well, the results of the study said something else. Quote, despite 30 to 40 billion in enterprise investment into Gen AI, this report uncovers a surprising result in that 95% of organizations are getting zero return. Just 5% of integrated AI pilots are extracting millions in value, end quote. Okay, so still sounds pretty good. It sounds like 5% of the winners there are the people who know how to prompt. Well, actually, the 5% of winners in this equation are coming from layoffs, which is a short-term gain when you're missing huge swaths of departments that you'll...
Oh, man. So it's that idea of, like, using... Uh-oh. Oh, I'm out of here. It's that idea of using like short-term gain to make it look like the numbers are right? You know, we laid off a bunch of people right before we had to do our quarterly report so that the numbers look like we did make money this year because we let off all these people.
All right, the model
may be too hot for me with this guy.
Research. An AI research charity did a study as well. Using moderate AI prompting devs, they tested their performance on real projects. Coding mentioned by Kaz, for example. So what were the results of these AI-assisted coders? Quote, the developers predicted they'd go 24% faster with AI. After they'd done the work, the developers said they'd done it 20% faster. But they'd actually been slowed down by 19%. They thought they were faster, but they were actually slower, end quote.
Interesting.
Even addressing how many times AI, AGI, a guy in India, where venture capital
that's what I was saying.
An AI startup, and then the entire thing is actually just a huge house of cards with outsourcing to slave labor, or how vibe coding / vibe working / garbage writing is leading to junk code / junk writing. So you need to comb it all over from prompt to period by a higher up who could have just used the junior to clean it up, which just gums up the works of production anyway, costing companies time and money regardless. But because it's AI, it doesn't take feedback or improve like a junior level employee would. A more comedic example of this is Taco Bell, which I'm sure you've heard about.
Wait, I haven't heard about this.
AI drive-thrus. And it was instantly broken by false, insane orders by customers who didn't want to talk to an AI or would just get the orders wrong, charging customers ludicrous amounts of money when they didn't ask for it. The same issue has happened in customer support. You end up calling a business. AI agents put you on hold for hours, get things wrong, and then repeat the service again because these systems don't actually understand the input they are getting. Do all of these cut the bottom line? Sure. but all at the expense of customer satisfaction and reputation. And those things matter a lot if you want people to be repeat customers. Or how about spyware that can literally listen to everything, like Friend, which is just a microphone that gives running commentary, Copilot, which is literally just corporate spyware, or Alexa AI, which is just at-home spyware, Sora Video, which can scan your face for AI TikToks, and I guess that's
I remember reading some article that there was like a conversation being had about the people who were listening in, because it wasn't originally all AI. There was people involved with it, and it said, like, what's the responsibility of something like Alexa if they hear something that might be illegal through the whisper?
Technically not spyware, but it could generate fake news about you. Doubly so if they ever get hacked and that data gets leaked, then somebody's able to fork it and just make tons of AI generated things you shouldn't be able to make. Though I'm sure companies like Palantir would love to have deep scans of everyone's face, you know, for safety. Oh, MIT's Media Lab did a study on essay writing with ChatGPT because it was supposed to make people do things faster. Well, they found that ChatGPT led to less interconnected brain activity, where the ChatGPT group, quote, constantly underperformed at neural, linguistic, and behavioral levels. In the classroom, you literally don't learn if you use AI. Hallucinations and false data, making use of AI on a spreadsheet or for financial work, it's potentially insanely dangerous. Literally all the grunt work that AI could do, it really can't because of security concerns or a lot of other things. The only thing it seems to be used for is surveillance, getting everyone's data, and they keep saying it'll do things like cure cancer, but it's not really doing that. If you're a small business, AI represents a brand risk or financial risk. I mean, yeah, it's Taco Bell, who cares? But I'm not really eating at Taco Bell now, am I? It could leak trade secrets, slow down work performance, harm customer-facing interactions, and make for worse, less productive employees who do nothing but BS work cleaning up the mistakes of AI. That all sounds literally terrible. The idea that you're prompting it wrong literally doesn't make sense, given those examples of AI familiar coders underperforming. There is no level of prompting it. That is pure cope. You're spinning a wheel each time because you can't have a guaranteed level of success on the output. Image generators are great for showing why this is dumb, by the way. The result is a little different each time, with no way for you to directly engage with the AI for an output. With an artist who makes 5 concepts, I can say what I like from each of them, ask him or her to specify further, but with an AI, I run the risk of a new pull of the slot just making something completely unlike the original when I just wanted something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So I can waste valuable time.
I've actually experienced this with trying to use, like, I have used some AI for upscaling stuff in there, especially like people that I've cut a picture out of or things like that. You can see from some of the clips of from the thumbnails of my videos, not for full on like you see like Smash JT and those guys use, but it's like it's hit or miss. I could say I was doing a clip for Mecha Hitler, a video that I think killed my algorithm. And I just wanted it to do the Hitler mustache, but no matter what I did, I couldn't get it to fully do it. I had to just stick with what I got. You can't, it's not like an artist who could just go in there and draw the Hitler mustache. It didn't understand any of the prompts that I wanted to give into it.
Pulling a wheel, or I can save time and invest that money elsewhere by hiring an artist, so I don't constantly need to keep sitting there typing in prompts. Look, Koss hired Jade Parker, the writer, because he can meet a standard of quality. But at least Koss knew what they were getting there. Neither of them can be sure that Grok or Midjourney will produce quality work each time. They can claim that they are, but they can't because they don't really seem to know the fundamentals of these systems. And they could just say it is and then not acknowledge any of the hours of work that was just junk. Also,
Yeah.
lastly, the notion of AI will create more jobs or similar technological revolutions is just, we're not really seeing that, and we haven't seen any jobs come to replace it.
Yeah.
I don't know what people think a data center does or what it requires, but it doesn't require hundreds of system admins running around pushing buttons, okay? Yeah, construction jobs will occur, assuming a company doesn't bring in outside help, which also does happen. All right, and as a result, local construction workers will have work for a time. But once it's done, the job is done. They don't need to keep building the building. And serendipitously, now you're a construction worker that lives in a county with an electrical grid that has increased by 10x, raising your bill. Or perhaps it's completely ruined your supply of water, turning it all black. A prompt engineer is the quintessential definition of a BS job. I mean, literally, give me a break. Who's gonna pay for the salary of a prompt engineer? When we have AI that generates prompts, by the way, okay, jobs to fix AI
Not
mistakes,
enough. Okay.
offload that on current staff, or send it overseas where I don't need to pay a reasonable wage. AI is supposed to be easy and revolutionary. If you spend more than 5 minutes generating an image, you literally should have done something else. The ease of AI goes out the window if you spend any more time with it, because at that rate, you could have just deferred the task to somebody else. That's the point of why we work in teams. Every time someone says AI, replace AI with cocaine. It makes a very fun thought experiment. I work a lot faster using cocaine. I'm tackling deep philosophical concepts about the universe with cocaine. Cocaine hype has venture capital spending billions. You get the picture. In the context of Katana Ra and all this AI stuff, it's complete cope. It's a crutch because the upfront is admittedly expensive. Yeah, it's expensive to hire artists. It's expensive to hire writers. Putting AI as an ethical question aside, I've spoken with a lot of customers in the real world about this. And you know, the biggest issue with AI for them is really that it just looks like you don't care. Hundreds of pages that just repeat the sentence, I don't care. This is a really risky.
I have this thing where, like, yeah, you can't necessarily always tell it's AI slop, but there's always something when I'm reading something that I look at it and I'm like, I'm reading something, I'm looking at a picture and I'm like, this just looks soulless, right? The AI music, I don't need all of these. Well, I might for now. The art you see, it just doesn't look like it was created by a human. You can look at it and be like, yep, that's AI.
Position to put a brand, but really specifically a really risky position to put a brand in this sector in. You really do want people to be excited about this stuff. So what's the rub? Well, the rub is that this game is a mess. It simply defies the simple things that we've come to expect.
How are you feeling? I love Arc Raiders. I've always wanted to get into the extraction genre, but I didn't really like the Tarkov, and they just didn't seem like anything that I was interested in. So seeing this come out and running through it, Riders instead of Raiders, it's all right. My dyslexia knew what you were trying to say. It's an amazing. Like I like the idea that. Do I have money for decks? That, you know, so far you can earn stuff like any other live service, but where is Raider? Nope, not Codex. That I can. This system right here is what catches at me for this, because in a lot, like one big thing with me when it came to that genre was the wipes. Like I don't play as much as the sweat online. I'm a father of 3 kids. I want to sit down and play that kind of game, but what's the point if I'm just going to get wiped of everything that I did and really earn nothing for it? And the expeditions just kind of like goes for it. Like it just helps me. Like it makes it worth it. It makes it worth it. Let's actually give them 10. And then just going through the gameplay, like I've heard a lot of people talk about the sweats and stuff like that, and I haven't really had that issue. Like even when I go solo, I've been killed solo. I've been killed in the, I don't have any of those. I've been killed in, at the elevator trying to get out, but I've never feel like, even when I lose a good weapon, even when I lose, something I've worked on, something I've upgraded, I always still feel like I had fun and that I enjoyed it and I'm ready for the next raid. So I'm loving it. I'm loving the game. If you haven't picked it up and you like the idea of it, I say pick it up. It's worth it. It's up to like 400,000 too. It's like it keeps beating its own concurrent player record. It's nuts.
As an RPG, it's even more astounding when I look around and see this weird video game on Steam, a defunct looking AI animation. I look at the AI generated comic book with the accidental yaoi, and I know it was an accident or not. It's hard to tell because you can't tell intentionality with AI. But either way, you just look at it and you go, what happened? Like this gun doesn't mean anything. It doesn't look like anything. Like, do you not care what your product looks like? Do you not have
No, they don't.
this universe you birthed? Do you not like your creation? Or is it just a payday to you? MPT reached out to developers of this for comment on this thing, by the way. We thought it would be cool and we want to make it a fixture to interview the folks behind this stuff, but they gave us an outrageously long window, and we do have a ship to run here, and there was just no way. So if they do say yes in the future, you can imagine the offer's still on the table, but you know where to reach us. So Katana Ra, in my opinion, is a black tank top movie of a TTRPG, an identity crisis in hardback binding, confusing rules, nonsensical lisk, a sheer vanity project dripping from its AI-drenched maw. It feels like it was made for everyone, with all of its variety.
Game that's made, something made for everyone is made for no one.
With all of its variety. It should go without saying, I do not like this book, or what it stands for, even. I would personally advise against picking this up out of sheer curiosity. But you should check out my Shadow Dark review for something more positive, because I do actually like RPGs. And while you're doing that, subscribe to Mana Potion.
I may have to watch that later, because I haven't been particularly happy with a lot of the new stuff that's coming out. Like 2024 is just garbage. There are things I like about it, and then there's just a lot that I don't. Like there was no need to do what they did with that one. No one else. All right, bye, bud. Damn. The AI in this game is also great. Come on. I'm terrible at this. Can you tell I don't play play shooters anymore? So that was Deiseal's video. FPS Deiseal. You can check him out. He has that channel that I just found out about. And he also does like slop drama and different things within there. Actually, I'm going to finish this run on stream. And then I am going to call it a night. Where am I? Oh, there we go. There we go. That's what happens. What just hit me? A wasp? Or a player? Yep. And it happens just that easy. Well, there we go. Right at midnight so I can get some sleep. Thank you everybody for coming by. If you haven't liked the stream or given me a follow or subscribe, please do that. I'm on Twitter, or not Twitter. I'm on YouTube and Twitch at the moment, trying to do the double streams on each. Again, thank you all for coming by. Y'all have a wonderful evening.